And we're live. Okay. Welcome everybody to another session of Werewolf: The Dark Ages Sveriges Elite campaign, session 2 this time. And we'll just pick it right up where we left off last time. Since this is only the second session, I'm not going to do a recap there was of the session or anything like that. The session before this had an expansive little recap of the session and all that, so you can go back and watch the earlier bits if you want all that info. But yeah, we're going to go right into it. The last session ended with pretty much the night ending, with all the POWs and all the fallen brothers and sisters of your sept having returned to you. You know, the bodies of your fallen brothers and sisters being returned to you and getting a proper burial in the Sept's grounds in the island there. And after that, I kind of expected everybody to kind of go and lay low and go and get their sleep and that sort of thing because it was like late in the night and all that sort of stuff. The Sept mood was already like going down because emotions had been getting rather high with all the red talent stuff with the mammoth coming in and all that. So yeah, basically, as this session starts, it would be basically the morning of the day after for everyone. Where would all of you spend your nights? Because I could imagine many of you spending it in different places at this point. Or
I would keep mostly close to the sept, and because this is going to be one of the first nights that I spend there, so it's going to be I'm gonna look around and find a nice place to crash, and doesn't have to be glorious or anything. Just a piece of grass will be fine.
okay, what about Reclaw?
I think she'll spend her night just out in the woods, somewhere in a nice little hovel, probably like in the hollow of a tree, in lupus form, sleeping.
Okay. And what about Michael? Would One Fang be sleeping with the pack there, or would he have returned back to Vildmark, to the fishing village?
I think, I mean, there's probably going to be some sort of like burial being going on the next day, right? And it's supposed to be
It was. I was kind of. I expected kind of that it going by
already done that.
the end of the session, so it's kind of that's now over and done.
Yeah, unless there was some sort of pack business presented, he would probably head home.
Okay.
Agnes, yeah.
Okay. With all that, with Curious Mind, I'll start with her. Curious Mind, having indeed spending her first night in the physical realm in a year, and this is pretty much, I think this is the second night she has spent as a werewolf in the physical realm. On top of that, so yeah, did you go ahead and like you? When before you had your first change, you made that little nest thing for yourself, and in the battleground realm, you also made this kind of a nest, this little hovel with in the caves and all that. Did you do anything like that, or is it just
Yeah, yeah. It depends on how late we turn in and how tired I am, but she definitely will have preferred to at least lay some sticks around where she's lying and lie down there. But depending on how much time she had and how tired she was, it'll be more elaborate or less elaborate.
Okay. Well, I would suppose that the Sepmood partying kind of went kind of long, and on top of that, having the burial stuff and all that. By the way, there was no one that you would have known, any of you would have known that was buried there. The only person really that you would have known or had any emotional connection with was basically Pale Dread, who was buried already long ago, and he wasn't among those that was returned right now. So So yeah, it was mostly just people that you didn't know that well personally or didn't know at all. So yeah, it's I would say that you would have some sort of a mild, mild little nest thing there, but nothing too elaborate, like you said. But yeah, it's been actually quite a long rest that you've gotten yourself this time. It's kind of it having spent that much time in the realm of battleground, it's almost like this. You've always like slept this light sleep where you're always like ready to jump and run away if trouble comes and all that sort of stuff, or not run away, but whatever the situation is. So I would guess that you would perhaps have had a little trouble for perhaps getting sleep at first, but once you did, there's like being in the physical realm, having like all this kind of grass and moss and sticks and all these kind of familiar physical things underneath you, and not being in the spirit world. It's kind of it's this comforting, calming, very almost like nostalgic feeling. So it's some of the best sleep and best rest you've gotten in a long, long while. It's almost like recharging your mental batteries type of thing. So you sleep for quite a long time there. I'm actually gonna say that actually make a stamina roll. Let's see how if you sleep longer than Red Claw.
All right, let me see. My stamina is 2, so I'll just roll here. That's 0 successes.
Okay. In that sense, because I was going to mention that with Red Claw, since you've spent just about you've spent a long time, in the back in the werewolf community, in the sept after your initial capturing and torture and all that, but it still left such kind of a this Vietnam flashbacks and that sort of thing. So I would guess that Red Claw would be somebody who would be kind of a light sleeper, the way Curious Mind was in the days of being in the battleground realm, kind of thing.
Most certainly, most certainly.
Yeah. So in that sense, I would guess that you would have had the longest, most trouble getting asleep, and once you awake, you would be the first up almost every time. So at this time again, it's like you almost like when you wake up in your little safe hovel space there. When you wake up, it's almost like you feel like the first rays of the morning sun, of the dawn, basically coming in the horizon there, and the rays of the sun just kind of touching, very mildly touching your temple there, and that being enough to wake you up. And it's basically, it's a very quiet, very like almost, well, quiet besides all the bird noises and all the familiar noises that go along throughout the day, or rather throughout the mornings and earlier stages of the day. So yeah, you wake up there kind of abruptly. You haven't been that well rested. You've kind of slept this very light sleep there, and yeah, you're up. You because you're all wolves, you kind of sleep in kind of a very close proximity to one another most of the time. The kind of exception being One Fang, because he kind of goes to the fishing village most of the time to sleep and all that. But the rest of you kind of hovel, not like on top of each other or something like that, but still kind of close to each other. Where when you wake up, you do spot like you spot Red Bitch and you spot Curious Mind in the other directions, different directions from your point of view, but they're like in your point of view when you wake up.
All right. Well, when she gets up, she's going to take a nice big waft of that morning air, that nice mist flowing around, and she'll do a little bit of a shake here, and she'll get herself something to drink, and as she does, she'll begin making her rounds, making sure all is well, everyone's all right. She'll go up to each of them. She won't be waking them up. She'll just kind of look at them. All right, everything's in order here, and she'll just keep walking around like that.
Yeah.
If she sees one of them wake, she'll greet them.
Okay. Before anybody wakes, where is it that she gets something to drink? Is it like, does she have like a bottle or something, or is there like, does she go to the nearest like lakeside or river or something like that?
It'll be towards like a little stream or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. When you go and have your little morning drink there and get all refreshed and that sort of thing, there is a or rather, let's have a. I'll try to have the players roll a little bit more here rather than in the prelude. So roll perception plus. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
Well, is it like a whining noise?
Yeah.
It sounds like a crane, kind of.
Yeah, that might be someone out back with a lawnmower or something. I'll mute myself.
Oh, okay. Then it's nothing. It's nothing to worry about.
Also, I'm going to like grab my dice real quick. Hold on.
Okay. Well, it's not that important, really. Shooter made it. Well, yeah. Kind of sounded like a transformer being tortured or something like that. But yeah, I'll try to squeeze in very needless, very pointless little die rolls here and there, just so that we remind ourselves that we're playing a die game.
No, it's real, man.
All right, so let's say perception plus primal urge.
Oh, the suspense.
What exactly is my primal urge? What is that stat?
That's I think it should be on the
On the
left side.
It's on the what?
Yeah, on the left in your abilities there.
Okay, hold on.
Oh well.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, yeah. So intelligence plus that. All right,
No,
so that makes it
perception plus.
perception. Gotcha. All right, so that's going to make it 3 dice.
Okay, difficulty is 6. 6 or above.
Okay, I rolled a 10, so I get to roll again. And okay, so I got 1 success.
Okay, but even with that one success, it's going to be more vague. But being, a werewolf and using something like primal urge, it's like a natural, like instinct-based, something that humans wouldn't have. It's as you drink the water there's something like a little bit of a foul aftertaste to that. It's not. It's like, yeah, it's refreshing. Yeah, it's like clean water in a sense, but there's kind of this strange, this kind of oily, sulfuric aftertaste to it. Something that's just kind of if it doesn't, it's just that either there's something in the stream or it makes you feel like there must be something in the stream, like in the like the upper stream, like flowing down. Like if there's you would be able to tell if it was a corpse like lying on the stream or something, or if it was piss. But it is something you don't quite recognize from before. But
well, as she laps it up with her tongue, she's gonna get that disgusting aftertaste, and she gets taken aback by She kind of moves back a little bit, her nose in the air, smelling about, a little bit of a growl into her tone and voice, as if warding away something that is there, but yet not, because in her mind now something is obviously wrong. This stream is not supposed to smell like this, and she she kind of begins looking around to see if there's any source of this. Perhaps something has fell into it. This is not something she's experienced before.
Okay. As you let out a little growl there with that, curious mind being someone who's sleeping lightly regularly, like looking out for little sounds like that. That's something that almost sounds like a straight up roar to your ears because you're used to looking out for stuff like that. A very low tone, mild growl that Red Claw let out, that wakes you up from your sleep.
I jump up and look around.
She's in your vicinity there. She's you can see her standing up there, looking kind of distressed, or just with her attention being to the direction she's looking.
I'm in full sensory input mode, like my ears are going around and I'm sniffing around, like what's going on, where's the danger?
You don't smell anything that you would expect to be, danger. You don't smell anything that's out of the ordinary for the physical world.
I'm sure it was Red Claw who growled.
It's pretty obvious. She's the only one who's awake, and she's just about the distance that it would be, for that sound.
Then I probably will go and walk towards her. Some fresh water will do me good. And good morning.
She begins lapping her lips up as you approach. Well, something's wrong with the water there. I don't know what it is, but it tastes off. She begins to kind of snarl again at the air.
I sniff it and put my tongue into it just to taste it.
Okay, now you can do a primal urge plus perception roll.
Ooh, that's my shizzle, primal urge. Perception, I have a -2 difficulty because I'm in wolf form.
Okay.
And I have 4 primal urge and a perception of also 4.
Okay, so 8 dice, and that's 4 difficulty.
There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 10, 8 successes.
Okay, 5 being the maximum in this, so that basically you've almost doubled the perfect answer. You have an immediate flashback when you drink that and taste that taste. And again, being something that you need primal urge to taste, it's something that you could imagine humans or regular wolves, maybe regular wolves, but not regular humans would taste. It's immediately the kind of sensory input that you have from tasting it. It takes you straight back to the point where you entered these woods, this territory, and you remember walking on that sludge-like soil, the muddy, stinking, kind of swampy soil as you arrived that had that kind of sulfuric stench to it. And then when you went to the when you were in the Umbra, and then you saw the Bane there, licking basically the spot where a torn body of a werewolf would be in the physical world, so that immediately like slams you in your frontal lobes there, and you're like immediately exactly what it's like with the taste.
You taste it too, huh?
Yes. It's not a body. It's not I don't know what it is. It's different. But it's not right. My gut tells me
Oh, it might not be the bodies that we taste, but I bet my left ear that it is because of the bodies that are below there. I look at the lake, over at the lake.
It's quite a
Think
distance
so.
away, the actual lake. There's just a stream
Mhm.
that's coming from it, but it's coming from that lake. But yeah.
This is excellent. This is just what we need.
Hmm.
We should get the pack together, and then we'll make a stand.
You got it. And then with that, she takes off and she begins to wake everyone else up. And she'll actually get up on a high perch of like a little mound, and she'll make a howl to call everyone together.
Okay. Basically, as everybody wakes up, it's like red bitch, as she was in your vicinity earlier, but she wasn't paying attention. She was sleeping rather deeply there. She wasn't waking up. But now that you howl, you see that she kind of like wakes up when you howl, and you can also see from that little top position that you took there when you howled, you can see that dusk light is over there, and you can see that even Oxspear is over there, and also the dusk light also wakes up kind of calmly. He like stretches out and yawns and all that. He's more like slow and laid back, whereas Oxspear looks terrible. Like he does wake up and he like stumbles up, but he looks like he's real like he's completely red. He's like one side of his face is like has pressing marks of all the twigs and stuff from the ground, and he's like completely red with a giant like vein on his forehead going all the way on his head, and he looks really like you don't want to bother him because he most likely has some side effects from last night. But he does kind of he wakes up as well and just everybody just starts to gather around. The only one missing is One Fang, who is nowhere to be seen. And although how if you want to, you could just make that like a wake up howl, or you can make it like a specific like really strong like you can make a roll and try to see that if it would reach all the way to Vildmark, since it's not that too far away.
Actually, yeah, I'll try to make sure if it goes to Wildmark, I'll roll on that.
Okay, make a roll on that. Then it would be, I would say, charisma and expression.
Okay.
Difficulty is 6 and above.
Okay. All right, I got one success. Yeah.
All right. In that case, once I go to John, I'll have him make a roll to see if he notices it. But but yeah, it's everybody's gathering there at this moment, and everybody's basically as everybody's gathering up and huddling around. John, make that roll right now. Make a perception and alertness roll. Basic difficulty. No, actually, since Phil only had one success, the difficulty is going to be 8. 8 and above, yeah.
Two successes.
Okay, that's enough.
Out of my 6 dice.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll just shift to you, and as everybody else is waking up and gathering around, it's like meanwhile with the Legion of Doom in the Wildmark town. The little house that you would have, it would most likely, since it's like a medieval fishing town house, since only your first kid is kind of coming around, the house itself most likely won't be that large. Was there, by the way, any specific place where you would want the house to be located on when you look at the town map, or?
I was kind of thinking if we could get it, would be the place where Agnes and I were first together. It was really scenic. So I would have set the house
Okay.
if possible.
Okay, so that would be kind of a little bit north from the hunting cabin there. So I would guess. So yeah, your nearest neighbor would be Agnes's family. So that's very fitting. So yeah, basically, you would wake up to this howl there. You would, since it's the medieval times and it's basically a fishing village and all this sort of stuff. Agnes would have woken up before you quite a little while earlier than you. You would still be, having your pelts and all that sort of, your linens and all that, or whatever kind of fabrics they actually use.
Can I slightly change that a little bit? That beginning, could I slightly change that, tweak it a little bit, like what he was doing instead of sleeping?
Oh yeah, sure.
When he came home, he would have been so upset over the meeting that they're going to war that he would have spent the night speaking to Agnes, and then he would have a really tough time sleeping. Even though she cajoled him the best she could, he would have probably got up like slightly before dawn and just chopped as much wood as he possibly could, both for her and because that's his way of finding his center and his peace. And I think maybe probably just sitting there, wiping his face off, just splash water, cleaning off slightly, getting ready to go in and maybe even start breakfast for Agnes before she gets up. Where he hears the howl, the call, or whatever, and go from there.
In that case, could you describe what sort of stuff would Michael would have talked to Agnes about it? Like, how would you have explained it to her and expressed your kind of feelings about it and all that sort of stuff? Because that we kind of went quickly past that because that was quite near the end of the session. So recap a little bit what sort of stuff you would have talked.
So after spending a very short amount of time with the rest of the group and Red Claw basically probably telling me that just once you get calm and go away, you're not, you can't just do what you're supposed to do. No, you can't just go out and start screaming at the other, the wolves, especially the elders. You need to, buckle down and take some time to think about it, and that we'll discuss it the next day. I ran home as fast as I could and then spoke to Agnes and basically just explaining to her my opinions of what I thought and sharing practically everything with her, as I think that Michael has always done. She says if there's one confidant for him, that's her. She'll tell her everything, and he trusts her judgment. And then she probably would have said, maybe even voiced similar reactions to Red Claw, knowing what little she knows about the council. She probably would have said, you can't just go crazy. You have to have proof, and you have to push that forward. You can't go off be totally emotional. Even though that's part of a werewolf character, the build-up of a character is emotion. You can't just be you up front with it. And yeah, I think she would have done her best. But I think in the back of One Fang's mind, he's like biting at the bit. He doesn't understand. Doesn't make sense to him. As he's not a warrior. He's never been a warrior. This fighting thing makes no sense, especially against your own brother. And he goes back to his Bible thoughts. You don't kill, you just don't kill your brother. You don't kill your neighbor. You don't kill them. And that it seems like that makes no sense to him. It's one thing to kill something in defense than it is to just go out and be at war with it for no reason, especially when they presented a peaceful solution temporarily.
Yeah, there's definitely, it's easy to believe that would have, kept you up for a long time with that kind of conversation and with the two of you just, sitting on the bedside talking about it and all that sort of thing. Though Agnes being pregnant, she would have been very tired most of the time, so she would have eventually gone off, to sleep and all that. Even though she is pregnant, it's still like it's her job is basically to do most of the housework stuff there. And since you're basically kind of an accountant as your job there. It's not like the fisherman's job or or the people who make the fish nets and all that sort of stuff, where they need to like be up early in the morning doing a whole bunch of work. But still, you're very like driven that way, that you work a lot. Hence the chopping of the wood, and also, like you said, like venting and.
Well, I think it's to help August too, because I think in the back of his mind that anytime he's away from her, everything's on her. Like she's gonna take care of the house, she chops the wood, so in the back of his, maybe he's not thinking equal rights, but he's thinking that he doesn't want her to hurt herself, or I don't know how advanced. I don't think he's that advanced yet. But he's definitely thinking, yeah, he wants to help her, and he loves her, so he doesn't want her to have to do this stuff. So.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's basically you've spent the whole amount of time of her being asleep, basically, either wandering around a little bit in the house, restless, and then going out to chop the wood, as you've kind of you've found your calmness, you find your kind of centered yourself, as you've always like brought the axe up and brought it down and cleaved the little block in half with all the sides always like exploding in the middle, and doing it again and doing it again and doing it again, and it's like every time these little diamonds of sweat just exploding off of you as you do it. At some point, it does dawn on you that the dawn is actually breaking there, and the pale yellowy, bluey, pale lights are coloring the sky there really nicely, and the early morning birds and all that stuff. And once you're basically chopping the wood there and thinking of maybe getting to doing the breakfast stuff and all that sort of stuff, you do hear the howls, or the actual howl, and you immediately recognize the direction and that it's from Red Claw's lips that it's coming from, and it's clearly like gather up, this kind of let's call a meeting to order type of a howl,
Right. Michael immediately kind of just puts the axe back, grabs his shirt he had hanging on the wall, and then runs into the house, trying not to make too much noise, still doesn't want to wake her up. And then he places a small, like a blue flower that grows in the field. And that's basically just his symbol that he had to leave, in the middle of the night for wolf business, because he doesn't ever want her to worry about where he is. So that he tried to set up some sort of symbol with her. And then he lightly kisses her on the forehead, and then touches her belly, and then he runs out. And he gets maybe like a mile outside of town. He strips his clothes off, ditches them into the ground, and then just kind of transforms, going into what's the middle form?
The glabra form.
Yeah, he still hasn't gone towards the wolf side yet, so I think that he wouldn't do that. Even if that's faster, he wouldn't do that.
Oh, okay. I didn't. That kind of flew by my head. I didn't realize that was.
Yeah, I've never actually gone past that. So in his head, he seems like that's the best all the time. So until that happens, where someone's like, "No, dude, you should transform."
Okay.
He'll go into that form and run as fast as he can.
Yeah. So that's like when the woman wakes up and the man is gone, it's wolf business. So as you
right, yeah, but leaving her the symbol, so she's not wondering if I'm out hunting or doing other stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're off basically, but before you get to arrive, there's still a little short time before your arrival after the howl was sent. So Red Claw and Curious Mind back at the PAX, the War Hearts territory there in the little place you have there along the stream there. Everyone's gathered there, and before anybody else can open their mouths, really, it's Red Bitch who immediately goes on the questioning stance of what's up with the early morning wake-ups.
Something wrong with the water. Something damaging by it.
The water.
Curious mind has more insight into this than I. But I tasted it. It was foul.
You see
My
that?
gut instinct was telling me something. And something's wrong with it.
You see Oxspear immediately after you mentioned that curious mind spotted something. He immediately like sharpens his gaze and he gets more interested and more focused and is like, enlighten us, sister. And as he walks forward a little bit, all curious and concentrated.
When I woke up, Red Claw was drinking from the water, and she pointed out that there was something wrong with it. So I tasted it as well, and indeed, she was more than a bit right. The water coming from the lake that holds our cairn, it is polluted.
Polluted? How do you mean?
There are things in the water, things that aren't necessarily poison to animals, but they poison the spirit of this water. Why doesn't everyone taste it so you have some idea perhaps of what I speak of?
It's safe to drink?
It's safe to drink, it's just a warning at this time.
Very well. Everyone line up on the stream. And Oxspear takes the lead and goes to walk to the edge of the stream there. And everybody follows. The Dusklight is kind of like he seems curious, but also kind of taken aback, like, what is this talk about poison, all that. And Red Bitch is kind of skeptical. She's kind of rolling her eyes and kind of like let's get this over with type of thing. Like, I'll believe it when I see it type of a thing. Not saying that out loud, but that's kind of posture that she has. But yeah, everybody goes to the stream there, and you see that Oxspear like drinks the water and is like he's a little bit like gargling in his mouth, and he spits it out and is like, "Is it an apple? Is that apple? You tasting apple?" And everybody around him is just kind of like tasting it, and both Red Bitch and Dusklight, when they lick it up, they immediately like go like, "Oh, apple! What the fuck? Apple? Like that's more like anus pus." And the rest are just like, as well, like very like disheartened about it. It's like, and immediately when Oxspear like notices that everybody's like really tastes foul, he's like, "Oh yeah, that tastes, yeah, yeah, definitely."
Red Claw begins shaking her head a little bit and kind of just does the dog thing where she's like, "Oh."
Yeah. But yeah, Oxspear kind of like stands up with his fists all like rolled up, and he's like, "So you said that this is all about some spirit of the lake business? It's something in the Umbra?"
Mm-hmm. When I arrived here, close to a year before, the war against the Red Talons was reaching its peak. I'm sure you all remember it. There was many bodies, there was pain, grief, anger, arrogance. All of this has had its downfall on the area we live in. The land, but, well, as you all know, I kind of scoop up a bit of the water. Water transports these things even better than land does. So it is more easier to notice in water than it is in land. I look at Oxspear. The last year, has there been a cleanup?
All the bodies were counted, and the Red Talons did drag their bodies with them. If there's something left behind, it's something that didn't come afloat. All the bodies, when they go in the water, they float at first when they have air inside them. Once the air is out, they sink, but once they spend enough time underwater, they build up gases and stuff like that that makes their body float again. So everything that's been found has been found, but are you saying that the spirit of the lake or something of that sort is telling you that it's a dead body in particular?
Doesn't necessarily have to be a dead body. It's just places can have been polluted by anger and fear and pain. We need to find out what's going on. When I returned, I already spoke to the spirit of the lake, and it told me that it's still feeling the pain of the war.
I see. At this point, One Fang arrives on the scene. You all hear the footsteps before you see him, and you smell him before you see him, and there he comes. He comes from the south and runs straight up towards the rest of the pack in Glabra form, still wearing most likely his clothes there on top of the form there.
Nah, I took my clothes.
Okay. So there he is, and everybody kind of turns around and sees him coming, and Oxspear is kind of looking like, and with a kind of stern face, and it just says, well, "Good of you to show up."
Oxford, One Fang looks around and sees that like there's no war or battle. He was, obviously afraid there was some sort of attack going on, and kind of just smirks a little bit and says Oxspear and nods, and then nods to Red Claw, and then to Dustspear and to everyone, and then to Curious Mind as the newest pack member, I guess.
What if there would have been an attack? Where have you been then? Huh? You need to.
And I'm sure you would have left me the scraps.
As that's going on, Red Bitch kind of rolls her eyes again and says, "There's something wrong with the water." Red Claw and Curious Mind, they notice it first and woke all of us up. There's something up that really needs looking into. Some serious shit is stirring up here. At least that's what it feels like. If it's remnants of the war, it can't be anything good. If it's something that's been stirring there for a year, it can't be anything good either. Did you say that the spirit of the lake directly told you about this?
It did, right? I mean, I first talked to an avatar, and then I spoke to the... Yes, it did. I might even go as far as I look around, I bring my nose down to the water again and sniff it. There might even be a Bane spirit here somewhere.
And you see that everybody kind of, everybody's like shoulder line gets a little stiffer, and everybody kind of looks around at each other, and it's like people are like, or the wolves are like, you're, and Oxspear kind of adds that it must have spoken to you. The spirit of the lake must have approached you about it because it sensed your lineage. It must carry weight with the spirit of the lake as well. Are you saying that it tasked you with this or something?
Yes.
Very well. This is what I decree. I will split us up into two groups. We will consult the spirit of the lake, and we will consult the bear. I will send you, curious mind, to consult the spirit of the lake about the situation and act upon her wishes. And I will put, and he kind of looks at Red Claw with his kind of, Red Claw with you, and I will put One Fang with you. The rest of you, come with me. We'll go to speak to the bear. And you three, you go to the lake. If you need to act, if you need to take initiative, take initiative. I don't know if the bear is going to be slower or quicker today. So, but that's where we're going to be. If you want to speak, if you want to find us, if it comes to that, you'll be speaking to the totem spirit. And that's right. That's right. You haven't even been in. That's all happening quite quickly. You haven't even been introduced to our totem spirit yet, have you?
We have a totem spirit?
Well, they'll fill you in. We'll just dispatched, dismissed, onward. And he kind of points at you towards the lake, and kind of, the rest of you come with me. And they kind of disgruntledly just goes to the other direction too. Basically, he goes like northwest from where you're at, and you see again like Dusklight is kind of like shrugging his shoulders, and Red Bitch is again like it starts to seem like her eyes are gonna roll off her face at one point. She's rolling her eyes again, quite large, in pronounced way, and they kind of leave off, leaving the three of you standing there.
Red Claw is gonna observe this whole scene, and while that's unfolding, she just gives like this flat look. Well, even though she's in lupus form, and she just kind of just shakes her head, like, oh.
One Fang kind of steps up and says, "What's a Bane spirit?"
What?
You said something about a Bane spirit or something. Everyone seemed afraid of that.
Oh, yes. I thought that was common knowledge.
Oh, he is new, very new. There's a lot he must learn.
No, of course, we all must learn. I'm glad you asked. A Bane spirit is a manifestation of well, dark energy. It can be any type of emotion, pain, suffering, anger, fear, these kind of things. But it can also be situations that happen somewhere. About a year ago, I traveled with my mother to the cairn, and there was this place where clearly somebody or more people were ambushed and murdered, and it drew this demonic-like spirit to it, and it started to lick the ground where these bodies fell, and it seemed to feed off it. From my understanding and what Steel Cave told me, these are dangerous things to tangle with, but it is one of our primary duties to destroy them where possible.
Do they
Does that
only
answer your question?
Sorry, do they only show up in the Umbra, or do they?
Mostly, yeah. I've never heard of anyone passing through, but they can still, the acts that they do in the Umbra can have repercussions in the physical world.
Anything that affects the spiritual world has an effect out here. It can be felt, and in this case, tasted. It only gets worse. This must
Exactly.
be cleansed at once.
One Fang kneels down in front of Curious Mind. He says, "Thank you for being understanding. Not everyone puts up with my lack of knowledge, my ignorance."
There's nothing to be ashamed of lack of knowledge. I too was ignorant of all these things, and people taught me.
Red Claw just kind of just nods enthusiastically at this, like, yes.
So I kind of look at Red Claw to, in Curious Mind's opinion, you're the second in command, so she's kind of looking at you like to give the, okay, roll out.
Thunderbirds, or go!
Yeah, Red Claw at that point, she just kind of gives a slight nod, and then she just starts bolting forward down towards the lake. Hopping off of rocks and stuff, and just...
Are you both
I
in
actually
war?
probably will jump forward into One Fang, pushing him over, and then running off and heading after Red Claw.
Yeah, One Fang, you do notice that they're both in their lupus form, their wolf form, and if her pushing you over and running off, it's catching a wolf in the glabra form. It's gonna be kind of tough. So you can make a stamina plus primal urge roll to.
No, I think she totally just caught me off guard. I would not have even.
No. That's for shape shifting.
Oh, the shapeshifting.
Even though it's not a battle situation, it's you've never transformed there.
You said primal urge, right?
Yeah, and stamina.
Seven. Good. 7.
6 or above.
So I get 2 successes.
Okay, yeah. So after she shoves you and playfully runs off, that's like immediately like if you run after her, it's like the first step you take. It's already like you feel this kind of instinctual wanting to run after her type of thing, where you feel like the foot that lands on the ground already like feels small and bends the different way than your legs, your knees normally bend, and then when you notice that, you feel your hands just coming to the ground, and it's like you're already in the motion of running as a wolf, basically. And as you're running as a wolf, and you kind of see this kind of your eye level being lowered and closer to the ground, almost like the smells coming off of the ground, of the soil, of the forest floor there. It's almost like your head with your nose being almost like this icebreaker, the front of an icebreaker ship or something, as you're just wheezing through the air, and all these smells just coming into this kind of a sensory input the computer that you have on the tip of your nose, as the wolf nose is just incredibly more accurate and able to depict all the senses that you're sensing, and also the wind blowing through you. You're hearing, your sense of smell, and with having 4 limbs to yourself as you're just gliding through all the stuff in the ground there, all the like you're just almost like swimming. You're just like gliding through it, and all the stones and roots and twigs and all that are just like flying beneath you as you run after them, and it's a whole new sensation that you've never felt before. And there's a lot of echo, but yeah, that's your first experience being in the wolf form. And even though it's kind of a quick pace, you're running and you're after these friends of yours, it's still this kind of you get to take in all the senses and all the experience that comes with it.
One Fang actually starts, at first he's just running, and he's thinking of catching up to Curious Mind, then he just becomes overjoyed with how much energy he has and how fast he's moving, and how much nature and life is out there through he can just smell, that he can just from his nose alone, that he would never have noticed in human form. And the sides of his mouth begin to just kind of come up, almost in a snarl, but it's probably his thing of a smile. as he's running, his tongue half rolling out of his mouth as he's running. As he finds another piece of joy in being alone.
Okay. Yeah. All of you, basically, as all of that is, you're taking all that in, and everybody's. If you want, you can go ahead and make the chase all legitimate and actually do stamina plus athletics checks competitively with One Fang and Curious Mind. To see.
No, I don't mind. I'm not trying to outrun her. I do actually sort of laugh, and when I catch up to her, tell her, "I'll catch up to you. I'll get you one day. You won't know when."
Just a little side note here. I tried to mute my microphone, and I still heard the echo. So it's still your microphones are now muted, and I still hear it. But when I muted my own, I still heard it from your end. Strange. Oh well. I guess we'll manage. Is it really distracting?
I don't hear an echo.
I can slightly hear it, but it's not super loud. Like, it's not like a normal reverb that you would hear.
What about Phil?
Yeah, I hear it too, but I think when everyone had theirs muted, it actually might have stopped it.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. If it goes overboard, then we'll have to do something about it. But my headphones are in use, so I can't use them this time. So yeah, basically, as this running thing has happened, and each of you have now together arrived at the edge of the lake, you're basically there. The trees are left behind you, and you see the vast horizon in front of you as the morning is still quite new in front of you. The sun is still not completely all high up, so and it's emitting this pale yellow light there, and it's kind of this very light blue sky there, and it's very, the sunlight is kind of reflecting off of the surface of the lake there. It's a very nice sight, and you see the island there in the distance in front of you. The lake is quite large. So yeah, there you are.
Once there, she'll begin to transform back into a Hamid state, and she'll kind of look towards you, Curious Mind, after that.
I look at her. Are we going to step sideways?
After you.
All right. I look at the water. I kind of draw my paw over it and rip open my own reflection and have a portal to the Umbra appear.
Where do you want it to appear? Like on top of the water where you ripped, or just like in front of you?
Yeah, just in front of me, just so we could step through easily.
Okay. In that case, make a Gnosis roll.
Ooh.
I'm just trying to have all these rolls be made.
Why?
Because.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Okay. So that's very well. So the portal opens very quickly in front of you. It's not exactly like that, but it's still like very like. It again. You tear the fabric of reality open in front of you, and with these electric style edges to it, you see the very mirror-like, very like lake surface-like looking flowing surface of the gauntlet itself that the rip reveals, and you get to step sideways through it.
As I stand in front of it, I look back at One Fang and Red Claw, and I say, the first time I stepped through a portal like this, I actually was very curious about me stepping through it and something else stepping back out. I kind of smile and step into it.
One Fang's face kind of goes from a smile to like kind of a look of like horror, like, oh my god, what could come through? Then he looks up at Red Claw, he's like, can things come through?
Red Claw walks over, puts her hand on your shoulder, and she leans close and goes, "Try not to think about it too much." And then she just backs up into the portal and disappears into it.
Oh man. One Fang kind of looks around.
And she does a smirking and smiling too as she does that.
Then he sort of he kind of like just slowly follows after him and then leaps in. And Wolf with his tail underneath him.
Okay. As you leap through it, it's for all of you, it's the familiar sensation. There's nothing extraordinary about it in this case compared to any other case. You step through it and you like push kind of through it like thick water, like heavy water or something like that, where you get through it and it's just you're on the other side, and immediately you feel the air feeling different as you inhale and exhale it, and you feel the misty kind of fog coming out of your nostrils when you exhale, and you immediately feel the grass feels different underneath you. You see all the glistening and glowing sources of life all around between your little wolf toes there, all this sort of stuff. Like described before, as the sky is full of stars and little comets just floating in the air and all this stuff. It's like before, and nothing really stands out in that sense from what you've seen before when you've been in the Umbra in this place. For example, last night. But yeah, there you are, and the spirit of the lake, basically the lake itself, as you're standing there, it's there's kind of this. It's the surface is last night the surface was very foggy. This time it's rather clear. It looks kind of like a regular lake again, though it's very black and very reflective. It's almost like kind of a quicksilverish texture, and it's very like flowing there like a regular lake, there, and splashing the water a little bit on the shore there, and you see all sorts of like little fish like jump in the water, or rather fish spirits and all this sort of thing. And there is this little mist there that almost goes in this spiral on top of the surface. But the spirit of the lake is not like standing there waiting for you or anything like that, but that's how you see it.
It's about time. Well, as I am the first to step through it, I look around and I kind of sharpen my senses to take in. I mean, now that we're in the Umbra, a Bane spirit is, at least for curious mind, a true danger at this point. So she's sniffing around, looking around if there's nothing to jump at them, especially because the others are still coming through. So once I'll be on very high alert until everybody gets through and the tension calms down after that.
The tension does calm down. There isn't anything for you to really spot. Everything seems quite normal. The only difference in anything really at this point is the knowledge in your head about the taste of the water. So that just adds to your own tension. But what you see and hear and smell around you feels quite normal at this point.
All right, then as everybody passed through, I kind of look at Red Claw expectingly and a bit like to get the okay, let's move on.
As soon as she walks in, she glances back, waiting for One Fang to come through, and she'll probably even just like throw her hand through the portal and just grab him and yank him through. And when that's done, she'll look around. All right, let's see if we can find this Bane.
Maybe we should try to find the little lake spirit first.
That would be a good place to start. She just glances around.
Where would the lake spirit live?
Everywhere. If she wants, or if it wants, it could probably hear us now. I kind of look at the water.
As you go to look at the water there, you do feel like this kind of a like this added tension in the water. It's almost like as you look at it, you see these kind of ripples in the water. It kind of like it feels like there's sort of tension in the surface of the water there.
Hmm. I start to make some respected markings in the mud and the sand close to the water, and then I'll put my head down and kind of murmur a bit, trying to call out to the spirit of the lake, or at least a servant of hers to communicate with.
Okay. Do you have anything specific in mind? What sort of things would you be saying?
Trying to get her attention, really, like we owe a protective spirit. We've drank from your water, and we tasted that something is wrong. We are here to help. Please speak to us so you can give us guidance to assist you.
Okay. As you do that, and you make like all these markings, all these werewolf runes, basically, or stuff like that, it's as you do that, you do feel this kind of you feel the mist that's on a little bit on the surface of the water there. It kind of like very light snow on the surface of a frozen lake or something, kind of gliding off of right in front of you type of area where it leaves this area where there is no mist on top of the lake there at all, like and you see your own reflection on the water again, just like last night when you gave the offering to the lake spirit. It again, your own reflection moves differently from how you move, and it like moves its eyes and looks straight into your eyes and moves its mouth as it says, "So you finally came."
As I promised.
I am in pain. I am feeling a festering wound in my underbelly. I have been waiting for you to come and fix it. Is that what you came here to do?
It is.
Good. Good. Know that I will reward those who go to lengths to help me in these times of need, as I feel unable to help myself in this situation. I will provide you access into my being for you to be able to help me. It won't be easy, though. It will be through a charm I shall place on you. I will only let you pass, though. Your friends must stay ashore.
Why?
Because you are who you are.
But we are a pack. We work together. They too long to help you.
Are they of your bloodline, then?
I don't think so. But we are all brothers and sisters.
It kind of looks at you in this kind of it looks like it's not made its mind up. It's kind of like looking at you in this kind of curious way, as in like if you have a point or something like that. If you wish, you can like it's I can't remember if you have like a gift or a right or anything like that that has to do with anything like making a spirit want do something you wanted to do or something like that.
Well, I have, of course, spirit speak. So I speak with it in its own words and own tongue,
Hmm.
and but nothing really. Well, the only thing I have the right of cleansing.
Yeah. Though it's not offended at this point or anything like that. So,
No, but the right of cleansing is more like to clean an area of these things.
yeah, yeah. Mm,
But I'll say, if it helps, I I can vouch for them.
you vouch for them.
I
You
do.
vouch for them in the name of of North Star and in the name of Shield Maiden.
They have shown me nothing but respect and kindness. They are my pack, and I trust them with my life.
Very well then. I shall place my charm of you being able to enter my being without suffocating to death upon the three of you. But I will hold you to your word. They harm me. They take advantage of my trusting nature. My vengeance will be horrible. Gather around. Place your front paws in my being.
Do the others understand this? Are they getting? Are they
Yeah,
understanding
because
what
the spirit is smart enough. The spirit speech is necessary when the spirits are base enough where they wouldn't communicate with you otherwise.
I look at the others. You
Red Claw
accept this responsibility.
Red Claw nods, and she has this very look of I would say like a mixture of surprise and immense amount of respect for how Curious Mind is basically vouched and is, you know, on the honor of North Star. Is like, whew, yeah. She steps forward and she puts her paw right out there and she kind of looks over at One Fang and she's like, come on, now.
Do
One
it! Come on, do it! Do it! Do it!
look of at first he's a little taken aback by the creature that's in front of him, as he's never seen a spirit like that. At least something more supernatural, like an entity such as that. Seeing the bear, it still looked like a bear. Maybe it was gigantic, but it was different. And then, like, his total thought, like, when she looks back to tell him to go, he's just staring at Curious Mind, that how much faith she took in them and how much energy in the pack that she's committed to. And it kind of just, like, kind of sparks, not, I don't know, like almost like a pure sense of wanting to not only protect her, but make sure she's safe and make sure Red Claw's safe and make sure the whole pack, even more so than he did before, as he begins to understand how deep of a connection it actually is. And then he steps forward and places his paw in the water.
Okay. As all of you have placed your paws on the water, especially at the point where One Fang goes and places the paws on the water, that's the last pair of paws that go into the water. You feel like this, or you see this kind of the ripple in the water surface that's like on your ankles or wrists, or rather, kind of starts to get this bright color to it is kind of aquatic, turquoise, bright, glowing, this kind of pale, kind of almost like moonlight style, kind of bright light that shines on your faces. There, it kind of starts to form these spiral forms on the surface of the water, and then the water again, the mist starts to like go aside, and the water starts to like create this kind of wave, like surface tension there, and it's sloshing and thrashing about a little bit, and splashing onto itself and they're like kind of like just getting like pumped, and you feel this kind of this wet this kind of wet air just like drill in through your nostrils, and you feel like you inhale this. It feels like you could imagine like waterboarding or something like that, where you feel like you're drowning or something like that. You're like water is going through your nostrils type of thing. It's water drills through your nostrils and exhales from the back of your ears as air, just. And at that point, the water's sloshing surface kind of goes to the sides, comes together one time in this, and the surface in front of you has become completely this kind of almost like tropical, like the shores in Greece or something like that. This very turquoise and bright, where it was very like this. This kind of quicksilvery black and bright everywhere else. In front of you, there's this almost like this, this little area in front of you that's bright, bright turquoise, and you can see that the area that's turquoise starts to take form in the ripples, and it takes this kind of form of these holes, these almost like these spiraling whirlpool holes and a whirlpool mouth, and the whirlpool mouth just kind of sloshes as it says, "Come," and it opens up, and it opens into this. The whirlpool takes the entire size of that area that was bright turquoise, and it's still bright turquoise, and it's just this whirlpool in front of you, just inviting you in.
I jump in.
I glance over towards one thing, and I look over and I say, "You haven't been in the Umbra much, have you?"
Kind of stares for a couple seconds at the giant form in front of him of the werewolf, and then kind of looks back at her, and you can see like his eyes are huge, just massive.
Do not be afraid. This is a part of our duty. This is the Umbra. It's the spirits. All of these things are connected, including us. It's our sacred duty. Do not fear it, for this noble spirit has allowed us passage in its form. Come, take the leap of faith. And then she jumps in.
One Fang kind of whispers to himself. He says, I'm not afraid." And then he kind of leaps in, following right behind her into the whirlpool.
Okay, with every one of you having leaped in with a little bit of a away from one another, like after everybody jumped in, the one after that took a little time before jumping in. Every one of you would have felt the same sensation of jumping into it and being like spun around like a corkscrew in the air, and then just into this almost this void, almost like you're floating in space, but the space is turquoise, and and like the stars. There's actually like glittering stars and stuff around you, and they're like it's very much like you would be floating in space. It doesn't feel like water. It feels like the void, and you're floating there. Though your fur does go flow like it's underwater, but there's this serene air where after you kind of had that spinning motion, you're completely like, you're not like disoriented or anything like that, but you're floating there, and after Curious Mind has felt that, it doesn't take long for you to feel like Red Claw is by your side, and then One Fang is also by your side, and that's basically what each of you feel. It's like the void where you feel like you can move around basically, and you feel like you breathe, but you feel like you take in the air, and it feels like that watery thing. It does feel kind of unsettling. It doesn't feel like you're drowning in a sense, though it kind of does, but you're exhaling from behind your ears, like almost like you had gills or something, and there's like this just like with a scuba gear, it's kind of this kind of bubbles and stuff coming out of it. It's very this calm and serene and very like this. Like you could get used to coming here and meditate every once in a while if that wasn't the option, But there you are, all of you, right next to one another, and you don't see anything that's standing out from the rest. Like every direction looks pretty much the same at this point.
Our search begins. Where to look? Everything looks the same.
The audio that comes out of your mouth, there is this that comes, but your audio is very audible. But it's just this kind of, it kind of goes like sharper and flatter, almost like with waves underwater type of thing. But it's very audible. You can all hear it and make out every single word perfectly.
I close my eyes and I focus my hearing, seeing a sound carried so far and so clearly within this place. I use my gift of heightened senses to try to hear what's going on around us and to maybe already find the direction of where we need to go.
Okay. In that case, make a what is it? Perception plus. I would say perception plus alertness in this situation. Yeah.
Yep.
And the heightened senses, I do believe that lowers the difficulty. Is that right?
I think so as well. Yeah.
Do you have it memorized? How much?
No, I don't. Heightened senses. There we go. The player spends a Gnosis points. The effect lasts for one scene in Hamid and Glabro form. All perceptions difficulties decrease by 2, and the character can perform sensory feats that are impossible for humans, such as tracking by scent, which requires successful perception plus primal urge. In Krenos, Hispo, and Lupus form, perception difficulty decreases by 3, which is not cumulative with the ordinary Lupus form perception, and the werewolf gains an extra die to primal urge dice pool.
Nice. So basically, since you're in your Lupus form, your perception plus alertness, so your perception difficulty drops by 3. So it being 6, it's now 3. So 3 or more counts as a success. Let's see how many you can muster out this time.
While he rolls, you can hear One Fang laughing, or whatever the analog of a wolf laughing, because he just can't believe that he's under the water breathing. He's just giggling.
Yeah.
Watching the bubbles.
Since you are a werewolf, you can, even in your wolf form, you can do things that are very human, just such as laughing or rolling your eyes and all these kind of different gestures. So it's
7 successes.
Okay. Yeah, you can hear the sun. As you're kind of focusing there, you're listening. Even though you feel the water is in your ears and all that, there is slight underwater pressure, but not anything where you have to be worried or anything. But as you focus your hearing and you just like concentrate, you hear basically as you're floating there, you just hear straight down. Straight down, you hear these kind of there aren't too many other noises going around, but as this kind of thing that stands out, there is this kind of a squishy sound, like if you have like some gel or something in your hands and you're just this kind of a sloshing and kind of there's something gooey, something slimy underneath you, and since it's all of your senses, not just your hearing, when you spot that, you kind of get also this kind of scent of that's similar, very faint, so that the other two don't perhaps even make it out. But this very faint smell of that sulfuric stench, and also when you then like go to open your eyes, you see almost this a very small stream of something a bit yellowish that stands out in the turquoise. It's almost like a string. It's like that small of a thing to see.
I look at One Fang and Red Claw, and I point down with my paw.
Red Claw kind of nods and she goes, "It's always down below, isn't it?" And then she does like this little breaststroke while in Hamid form. But then as she does that, and she goes down, her Hamid form changes, and with every breaststroke, she goes from Hamid to Glabra, and then from that into Krinos, and then she just starts pumping herself up.
Okay. What about the rest of you? Seeing a Red Claw shapeshift into a Krinos form, does that alert you at all, or make you do anything of the sort?
Yeah, I mean, it probably takes a second for Curious Mind to get my attention as I'm looking around. But once she does, and I notice Red Claw doing and changing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to try to mimic her and transform into my Krinos form as well. Probably not while I'm swimming, but just concentrate, drawing on my emotions, and then just kind of let the fiery blood flow through me, raw, and then start swimming out of it.
Okay. Basically, as you're transforming, it's like almost like huddling into kind of a fetal position and then just bulging up outwards with this of water and bubbles. Yeah, it's like this. Hulk out, brother, and it's you do exactly that. You shapeshift into your Krinos form, and it again every time you do it, it feels more and more natural. And at this point, it starts to feel quite natural already, where you don't have to worry about it all that much or be too self-conscious about whatever you're doing. It's almost starting to feel like an instinct and a natural thing to do. What about Curious Mind?
Can I keep up with them while still in my lupus form?
Yeah, sure. If you will have to, swim a little bit, put more effort into it, but yeah, you can. Yeah.
And then I'll stay in my lupus form as of yet, and I'll follow them.
Okay. Well, as the
and actually, I will try to keep a little bit of a distance, not like, hey, you guys over there, but like, so I can see what they're doing and kind of see their surrounding as well. So I'm kind of like the, bringing up the rear, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Well, as you're swimming, all of you in this kind of a formation almost of the two Krinoses swimming first and the lupus coming in behind in the rear. As you're swimming downwards and downwards, the kind of the shade of that turquoise surface, that void starts to darken a little bit and darken and darken the deeper you go and darken at the point where it starts to go so dark where it starts to look like actual outer space. It starts to go really like you're going into like a deep sea diving type of thing. When it goes deep enough, it goes into the Cthulhu territory, with all the animals and all the darkness. It's just like overpowering type of thing. As you swim and swim and swim, it starts to feel like you, all three of you, are the of light here. Like, even though it starts to be pitch black around you, with not even those glittery dots of that look like stars around you, you can still clearly see each other as if you were in somewhere where there's a lot of light, and all the bubbles that come out of you are completely like visible as bright bubbles and all that. But it does play a little bit with your sense of direction. Since you've this whole time been going straight down, you would easily know that, okay, straight up would get you back to that turquoise stage. It does kind of, if you stop and like look around and kind of go around, it might very easily disorient you, and that's something that crosses everybody's mind automatically. But as you're getting deeper and deeper, all of you are starting to smell that sulfuric stench and hear that kind of thing where it feels like there's some sort of like slimy snail-like slithering slugs, something like that underneath. That's what it sounds like a overblown sound effect in a movie of that sort of stuff.
I will also, by the way, activate my Hunter's Harmony.
Ah, okay. Was it that with that you could make simple communication without actually saying them out loud with your pack?
Exactly. They will hear me in their thought.
Okay, but was there a limit of how simple it has to be? Was it like back off or attack or something like that, or was there room to be more use more vocabulary?
Well, it depends on my role, really. I need to roll charisma and primal urge, and it says here that on a single success I can convey a thing like danger ahead, while 3 successes convey ambush in 30 paces by silver fangs, that sort of stuff. So
okay, the
more successes I get, the better I can, the more detailed I can be.
Okay, since you haven't done this before, it'll be interesting for them to start to hear voices of you speaking in there.
So I'll throw my charisma and primal urge, which is, as we know, kind of one of my things. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes and 2 10s. 6 successes.
Okay, so whatever basically you want to convey, you can.
So a long time ago, I've been.
Okay. So yeah, that's where all of you are. What about the rest of you? How do you feel, or how do you prepare, or what's going on in your head as you go into these depths?
As she begins to move forward, she kind of stops, and then she begins to, with her claws out, she begins to put them up against each other, and she begins to slash up against them repeatedly. And this will be her using her razor claws. And so she'll spend a rage point to take the full turn, and she'll just sharpen them as a result.
Okay.
And while she's doing this, it looks almost, it would be rather painful to perform, but she'll over and over again with this fast and furious motion. Each time bubbles and maybe even a little spark here or there gets created as she does this. And then when she's done, her claws looking much finer. If there was any sort of light, there'd be that nice little shing, nice little bright light at the end. And then afterwards, she'll begin to orientate herself. Though it will take her a while to do so, she'll kind of, but she'll keep her nose pointed down where she can smell the strong scent of that little goopy noise. She'll then start moving her way towards that.
Okay. What about One Fang?
One Fang is sort of lost in his own thoughts, and then he hears that echoing reverb sound of shing, shing. And then he remembers all the times that he's trained with Red Claw or Oxspear, and he begins to sharpen his claws the same way she is. Just almost mimicking.
You have that as well. You have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
On my Fenrir side. And he sharpens his claws up, and concentrates on that, and then tries to catch up as she starts heading off before he finishes. And he just kind of like speeds to catch up to her.
Okay. So in this time, it's 2 Krynos werewolves with razor claws going in first, with the telepathic lupus coming in the rear. Okay. As you, at this point, go deeper, you start to hear this kind of a actually it's something that kind of stumps you or stops you on your tracks as you hear this kind of very echoey, almost like this, this kind of what's the Australian didgeridoo or whatever it's called, the kind of thing. You start to hear that kind of bellowing sound, but it sounded like something coming out of somebody's throat. So it's a kind of a mixture of that kind of didgeridoo instrument and those kind of like throat singers, those kind of type of thing. It kind of this kind of gurgling, this kind of this kind of sound that I can't make comes comes from the depths. In this kind of like, since it's underwater, it kind of echoes everywhere, and it's almost like this rumbling, like this, as it's coming around you, and you feel these very small bubbles that's emanating from below you upwards as this kind of rumbling and this kind of noise is coming. And as that happens, along those bubbles, you see black, what I can only describe at this point to be black snakes around the same size as like boa constrictors, like pythons, just swimming towards you from below. And they're basically at this point, how many you see in front of you are just about like 10. And as soon as you see them and they slither towards you, they don't come like bullet speed or anything like that. They come pretty much the same speed as swimming snakes come underwater or something like that. You see that they don't really have like snake heads, so they're almost like these slugs where the front end is just as sharp and pointy as the end of the tail, but it pretty much all other aspects looks like a slimy, like goo, like gel, like covered black snake. Completely pitch black, and as it comes to your point of view, you see that the tip of its head is like implodes inwards on itself and goes outwards into this, and it's these almost like these squid-like tentacles that have all these long nail-like, these hook-like, these fish hook-like, hooks on them, and they kind of, and the middle part has this kind of an anus-looking mouth hole, and it's just, and they're like they're not emitting those sounds, by the way, but they are swimming towards you. Now, curious mind, you feel quite safe being in the rear as you are, but for Red Claw and One Fang, they're pretty much like, oh hell, like they're coming towards you.
Red Claw will begin to snarl and sneer. She hears this, followed by these rather disgusting, eel-like leech creatures coming at her, and she'll, with her claws outward, she'll just begin to barrel on downwards. And as she does, she'll go for the nearest one, and she'll immediately start hitting in for the attack. And as she goes in for the strike, she'll kind of do this spiral slash as she comes straight on down, almost like a torpedo.
Okay. Since there's 10 of them, I'm not gonna do like combat round for each one of them. That would take the entire week. But basically, as they come, I'll still let you guys have the initiative here. So basically, as you go and do your spinning attack, do still roll your dexterity plus brawl as you do that. Remember to add all the adages that being in a Krynos form adds, and also remember the razor claws. Was it that it gave you additional dice, or did it lower the difficulty?
All claw attacks do 2 additional dice of damage and are made at -1 difficulty for the rest of the scene.
Okay, excellent. So, roll dexterity plus brawl, adding though, no, it was in the damage, so don't yet add the numbers, but yeah.
Gotcha. All right, let's see here. What are my successes that I need to have?
6 or above.
6 or above? Okay. All right, so that means I have 4 right there, and I rolled 2 10s, so those explode. And that doesn't lead to any more, so I have 4 in total.
Okay, then roll your strength. Remember those those 2 extra dice and -1 difficulty, so it's 5 or more to count for a success.
Gotcha. Oof, that's a lot. All right. Let's see here. That's 1, 2. All right. So one of them exploded. All right. So that I have 3 damage that I have dealt.
3.
The difficulty's too lower, right?
No, the difficulty was 1 lower, but there was 2 extra dice for that roll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got 3?
Yep.
Oh, strange. But that's the nature of the system with this many dice. But still, with 3, that's still enough. Where could you describe the spiral attack that you're doing?
Oh yeah, so what she does is she like goes snout first, and she kind of twists. She has like her hands into the back, and then her feet kind of slightly splayed, and then she just begins to like twist her body, and she just begins to like barrel downwards, and as she gets close, she'll slash with her left, and then as her body turns, her right, and then back and forth, cutting along the edges of the creature, dicing it into bits, clawing into it as it was going to claw into her. No, son.
Yeah, since you're in your Krynos form, something like a python or something, it's not that huge. You know, it's something like I would think something like that or something, where basically slashing it, you manage to cut it in half easily, and as you cut it, it's just you see that the inside of it, just like the kind of the inside of the mouth, is this kind of yellowy, color, and as you slash it, the black body inside of it has this bright yellow color in it, and this yellow, very sulfuric, the same stench just kind of comes into the water, and it like makes these it kind of convulsions, as it's split in half, and it just. But there's still 9 other coming, towards you, and at this point, it's what is One Fang doing about it?
Seeing Red Claw like turn into a corkscrew and start chopping through them. One Fang, having no idea how the hell she did that, just kind of swims down as fast as he can after her. And when he gets to the nearest one, he just slashes at it, almost like the most basic rudimentary attack he could on it.
Okay.
Using
but
as much
still,
strength as he can.
Yeah, it still works. So you do the same. Roll your dexterity plus your brawl, and remember to add all the adages that being in a Krynos form adds to that. Like your, it doesn't. I don't think it adds anything to dexterity, or does it?
+1.
Okay, yeah, +1. And the difficulty is 6 and above.
So 3, 4. So I got 4 dice.
4 dice?
I got 2 successes. Yeah.
Okay.
but
In that case, then roll your strength, and remember to add the Krynos strength to that.
And that's plus the claws, right? Too.
+2 from the claws, and your difficulty is 1 lower, so 5 or above are successes.
And then 1 for my bear form.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Five successes.
Okay. you're doing more damage than your partner there. As you saw even though it was very dramatic and very like inspiring to see this corkscrew attack, it's still like your basic swipe. It like when it sinks into one of the snakes that hasn't even gotten a chance to open its mouth yet, your like fingers, your nails, like 3 of them sink into its body and like ribbons slashes it all the way to the end, where it's like from the almost like neck down of the snake, it's the last parts of it. It's just into these 3 ribbons that are completely bright yellow inside of them, in this kind of mustardy, like this rotten shade. And again, it blurts out this horrible stench underwater as it just goes into these ribbons. And at that point, sorry for not doing actually the initiative, I kind of forgot. Curious Mind, what is Curious Mind doing in the rear at this point as she sees this go down?
She is keeping her distance and is trying to feed information to both of them to make them even more aware of their surroundings than they already are. So if somebody tries to get them from behind or something, I'll do them like, okay, well, for our standards would be like 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So feeding them information on where to strike and where to do next, but still keeping an eye on my own safety, of course, that they won't be coming at me and surprising myself.
Okay, you are quite a distance away, and as you pay attention to your surroundings with your heightened senses, none of them are coming from the sides or above or anything like that. They're coming from that straight one direction, where those small bubbles are still bubbling from, and that thunderous kind of rumbling is coming from as well. Then,
are there any fish spirits around here?
No, it's actually been very
Barren.
Yeah, very barren. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like you're not really like in the lake, but you're in like the lake's essence, something like that. You know, something deep shit, bro. You know, but yeah, you haven't seen any lake spirits. You might perhaps attempt to summon one if you know how or something like that, but you haven't seen any. You've just seen those kind of glittery star-like things around you, so it's.
I'll try to call out to them.
Okay. In that case, let's say charisma plus enigmas.
Enigmas, really?
Let's try it out.
Nice.
I know you have lots of enigmas, so it's not a jab.
No, it's true. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Okay. What sort of how would you describe Curious Mind trying to get into contact with the underwater?
Actually, she will start to swim around the area where the fight is going about. Of course, in a higher and a more distant form than. To keep an overview, but she'll call out to the spirits to call for assistance. The thought behind it is that the damage that we're doing to these snakes and these pythons, there's coming a lot of goo and a lot of how do I put it? A lot of filth is coming from them, and Curious Mind doesn't want it to spread throughout the entire water, so she's trying to create like a sort of like a barrier in the water that it will keep concentrated to this location.
Okay.
And she'll need help with that because she can't do it by herself.
Okay, it's interesting. So wait a minute. Sorry. I was actually checking one translation while you were describing that, so I apologize. Could you summarize that? Quickly?
She wants to make, well, a vortex is like not the right point, but by swimming around the area,
creating a barrier that will prevent the filth and the pollution that's coming from these creatures to spread out through further areas.
Okay, so it's not like you're not trying to contact another spirit, but you're trying to just physically do this.
Well, yeah, but she knows that she doesn't. Her swimming around is like not gonna do much. But if a lot of these fish spirits will swim around it, they will keep it contained.
Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, slews of fish do make those kind of bowls to protect
Yeah.
themselves when dolphins and stuff, swim through them, to catch them. Yeah, that's an interesting plan. Okay, in that case, as you're trying that, I will say that at least first that'll take time.
Yeah.
As you're doing that and swimming around, your two comrades will have no idea basically what you're attempting unless you convey it to them. But yeah, you're swimming around and trying to make contact, trying to call out for spirits in the lake.
Yeah, but this is a side project. She's mostly focused on keeping her friends safe.
Okay. Well, you have many tasks going on at once there.
Multitasking.
Yeah. If you would use an extensive amount of rage points, you could yourself swim. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of far-fetched.
Yeah, but that, and it has to be probably kept up for a longer time because, well, I'm assuming that as we fight the true, real bad guy, that's probably a little bit deeper. Well, we're probably gonna have to band together and that sort of stuff. So it's not like otherwise that would be an option.
Okay. Okay. Well, you're doing that swimming thing, trying to get a connection. I'm not saying anything responds right away, though. As that's happening,
I have no idea if it works. Neither does Curious Mind. So, but she just wants to try something.
Yeah. As that's going on, going to Red Claw at this point. After doing that corkscrew thing and slashing the snake, you see that there's two snakes now coming towards you. Further on, right in front of you, and they almost look like they're mocking you by making a spiral between the two of them, as they're like spiraling towards you with this two snakes coming together as they're spiraling towards you. And what do you do about that?
Well, these suckers decided to.
Since the rolls were that good with both you and One Fang, I'm not gonna have you roll every single time. Those were good kind of indicators of how well you're.
Gotcha. Well, in this case, as these two suckers decide to mimic me, that's the wrong move, because as they meet me in the spiral, that's exactly what I was kind of wanting. And then suddenly my claws, each one reaches out and grabs each of them. And then as I do that, I just squeeze as hard as I can, my claws inching right into what would be the equivalent of their throats, and I just, as their heads or what's left of them just plops right off, like squeezing on a lemon too hard and watching the seed just kind of goop out, just let off this bestial roar, yelling down at the rest of their slimy comrades. Bring it on, all of you! And then I take what's the rest of their guts and I just rip it from pieces to pieces right in this hazy fog of their own guts so that their comrades can see that I'm coming for them.
All right, and again, this yellow mustardy cloud kind of forms there. Like, it's kind of you're kind of doing a disservice, because it's exactly what what Curious Mind was trying to prevent, in the sense, because now as you're it kind of creates this yellowish fog in front of you, and as that fog is kind of coming, you see that one third snake kind of just almost like right in front of you just kind of pierces through the fog, and you didn't like see it coming, and it's like right in front of you, just it's about to stick its anus in your face, kind of, and hooks, so What do you do?
Oh, as soon as it tries that, I'm going to open up my jaws, and I'm just going to clamp right down and just start munching on it.
Ah, good God. As, as that happens, as you're basically, as it's kind of coming and you beat it to, actually, either spend a rage point or roll dexterity plus alertness to see if you get to open your claws before it's too close to you. For you to, if you open your claws inside its kind of tendrils, it'll still be, inside
I'll,
its
Can I
mints.
try to assist him in that? Because I'm trying to warn him from the attack, because I probably do see it coming, right?
Actually, you wouldn't because of the cloud. That's
Oh.
kind of the it's almost like throwing a smoke bomb at your own feet. Type.
I'll, I'll spend the rage point there.
Okay. After spending that, you indeed get it before it, and you get to munch down with your with your teeth on it, and it just crushes down on your teeth just meet each other, and they kind of come from between your teeth there, and the taste is. I don't think there is anything I've ever tasted that I could really compare it to, but it is like, imagine tasting like toxic sewage or a chemical waste products, this kind of, like, oh, plutonium, cool, it's like, it's a very, like, it feels corrosive, it like really like feels really like it does a number on your tongue and on your top of your mouth and on your gums, and also those little tendril hooks that you just bit into. Some of them do sting and sink into your gums there, and
As I get this feeling, the sensation, my mind jumps right back into when I was in that pit, and that orange mist was burning everything. It feels almost that's the memory that she latches onto as she feels this, and it throws her into a rage as she feels that mist in her mouth. And she begins to just rip and tear at this creature and exhales that vile stuff out of her mouth, but she keeps just a little bit of that taste and to remember that pain because she's going to dish it out to these creatures even more. And she begins barreling right towards another one.
okay, well, basically, well, the two of you see basically Red Claw frenzying in front of you underwater in the Umbra. So it's basically just slashing away. She doesn't feel pain, and she is, doing a lot of damage, but it's kind of like, oh, shit. Like, it's, it is kind of intense. So at this point, as this is happening, a curious mind does notice that as One Fang was there, ready to slash, one of the snakes has gone around, and with his hands being there, all that, and with one of his hands, the one with the burn, you can see on his arm, there's no fur because there's like this burn scar, this kind of bright pink flesh, on top of his hand. Which arm was that actually?
The right arm.
Right arm. Okay. So not this, but this. Yeah. So yeah, you see that basically when he's waiting there and kind of looking into that direction. From that direction is coming one of those snakes, and he's just about to latch on to the hand. Actually, you can see from the distance that the snake aims to wrap around the fist basically of One Fang, and you see that before One Fang does.
I warn him and I call out, right hand, snake.
And this is the first message that One Fang has received telepathically ever in his life.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do hear that. So it is kind of you recognize the voice, but it's not coming into your ears. It's coming from here. It's Yeah, it's
So one thing is concentrating, looking at the nearest one coming towards him, getting ready to engage that one, and on the corner of his eye, he sees Red Claw go insane, start ripping apart three of them, which he thought he was doing pretty good when he killed one, and he sees her just tearing into these creatures, half roaring, screaming, and then here, Curious Mind in his head about, right claw, snake, and oh man, the reality, it would probably just stun him, and he would just be like, what? And then almost maybe turn to the right to look up, and maybe catch out of his eyes that snake that way.
Okay. You do basically. It does kind of like, but you do turn to like, what? We're right. Like you turn right, and you do see that closing in on your fist. Like at this point, it's like, it's like right about the time as it's going to grab your fist, and you get like almost in slow motion, like as its handles like hooks like erect in those tendrils that it has.
Is it possible for me to channel Red Claw and just kind of go like she does with her fist, with her hands straight forward, just kind of jam it into the creature's mouth, and just trying to like split it?
You can do that. You can do that, but yeah, you can do that.
All right, that's what I do. Just remembering Red Claw, and then just thankfully for the warning from Curious Mind. One thing just lashes out, just punching out directly this knife edge with the claws leading, just kind of trying to pierce down the center as probably like 1.5 feet of the creature just kind of goes onto his arm. And he just kind of sprays his fingers as far apart, just kind of ripping it down. Maybe even having tendrils and stuff hanging off of his arm, trying to shake it off.
Yeah, but
anything else near him to attack with the other claw.
Yeah, but it's also this kind of, it has this, those hooks, even though it do lacerate its insides and destroy the creature completely, its mouthpiece that was still it's still like wrapped around your arm, and it went like a glove, all the way to your shoulder there. So basically, all the way to your shoulder, there's a mouthpiece separate from that shredded like there's almost like tassels of flesh, of snake flesh just coming off of you as you ripped it up, but it's still like here. And all the way from here, you would have to rip it off, and it's like that you do feel like the kind of adrenaline as you go and you punch it with your nails, and it shreds, but at the same time it shreds. It like really rends your surface flesh, and really you feel like these droplets, these diamonds of blood just squirting out of your arm, and you also have a hard time keeping your rage off and emulating Red Claw even further. Basically, so yeah, do a rage roll. Let's see if you.
What is? I'm not sure what that is.
Basically, it was the amount of your rage is your difficulty, and did you also roll the amount of dice that? Oh man, I can't recall. It's it's okay. If you don't mind, do you mind your character just frenzying?
No, I have no problem with raging at this point.
We'll check it later.
To be honest, he's so scared right now. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on. So,
yeah.
I mean, that was just a last-minute thought that he remembered Red Claw using this to fight. She's been teaching him, so I'm assuming some of the stuff that she does, he does. And yeah, that was just a last-ditch. Oh my God. Luckily I'm super strong. My arm pierced that creature, but I'm sure there's more around him. So yeah, that would probably set him off easily.
Yeah.
And he's fucking shaking his arm trying to get this thing off, and there's no way there's blood mixing with that yellow viscous crap that's spreading throughout the water. And he probably reaches out to the nearest one, just hacking and slashing at it like he did the other ones.
Yeah. As you do that, it's from Curious Mind's standpoint, it's almost like let's forget about the circling thing. Let's just back up. You know, it's both of these. You're in a completely like foreign place of this kind of spiritual stuff that's kind of like uncharted territory. And these the two muscles that you brought with you are flipping out and destroying everything in front of them. But they're doing a good job of it. It's just that you might not want to go too near it.
Yeah, I keep a respectable distance, but appreciate the damage that they're doing. But especially because of Red Claw, and it's now very clear that this place needs to be contained.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it takes a little while, and it's kind of tense for you to follow, but they do eventually wind up, kind of spending themselves out and kind of burning themselves out, and it goes at some point you see that the kind of yellowish or the yellow kind of blood that comes into this cloud kind of expands and expands, where you see your two comrades almost as like these darker yellow silhouettes inside the cloud, just slashing away until the cloud kind of dissipates, and you see these two Hamids there in their Hamid form, just and you see these kind of these bubbles just as they're like sucking in air, and like their hearts are beating like war drums still, and inside of them, but the water is filled with chopped snake, and there's not a single attacking one in sight.
Well,
So,
I'll try to calm them down. Like, all right, I'll speak into their minds and say, like, breathe calmly. Okay, breathe in, breathe out. The danger's gone now.
No, the danger's right here! Come and get it! Because you have been bested by Red Claw! And she takes like one of the snakes and just like throws a part of it down further down below.
and what about One Fang?
One Fang is just heavily breathing, and he kind of looks over, and he hears Red Claw go into her speech, her warrior threat, and he kind of just looks down at his arm with the snake sheath he has on his arm, and he just kind of concentrates on wiggling that off. Maybe that his arm has shrunk so much that maybe he can slide it off slowly.
Yeah.
And he kind of takes it off. And he sees all these dozens of little tiny pinprints and scratches all over his arm, and there's blood coming out. Kind of just looks at it and just kind of looks back up, and Red Claw finishes their speech, and he kind of like swims over to her slowly, and just he's like, that was awesome.
Yes. Was it not? That is right. That is the spirit you should have. This is what it means to be Garou.
And as you say, this is what it means to be a Garou, you hear the same rumbling from beneath you again. But it feels even more aggravating, or more aggressive. This kind of this sound coming in again, and these bubbles emitting from it. But no snakes are coming at this time, and it feels quite close, actually.
Guys,
One Fang turns and looks up at Curious Mind, and he kind of yells because in the distance. He's like, How did you warn me?
I'm again speaking to his mind. Like, I can communicate in times of need in your mind.
One Fang spins and like looks at Red Claw, his eyes wide. He's like, Do you hear her?
Oh, yes, of course.
But there's still something down there, right, Jonas?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
This was just a warm-up, guys. There's still something down there.
Good. And she like just takes her arm and starts rotating it around. Because I haven't had enough yet. Bring
Glad to
it
hear
on.
it.
And, like shouts that downward.
Oh, you start to swim downward?
No, no, I shout that downward, and then
Oh,
she kind of just catches her breath a bit, and then um, she kind of looks back to the rest. Are you ready to proceed forward?
Are you?
Yes.
One Fang is kind of just holding his arm. He's like, "Yeah, nothing's broken. I think I'm okay."
She kind of slaps you onto the side of the shoulder, and the bubbles is boiling up, and she goes, "Yes, it is good to hear, brother. Now let us bask in the glory of battle!" And she begins swimming right down.
Well, yeah, you start to swim further down with the formation just going down the same way as it did before with the Curious Mind being in the rear and the two of you in the front. But you don't need to go too far deeper that you start to see this form in front of you. You see this kind of a reflective black surface, this kind of a smooth, shiny surface there that you, as you kind of, especially Curious Mind with the heightened senses, you see that there's this kind of surface of black that you see only like this much about at this point. You see that it has veins on top of it. You see that it's pulsating a little bit like it has a pulse. This kind of, but you also hear this feel the bubbles and this kind of rumbling coming from it. But you only see like this patch from it of it, and it's quite a bit in front of you, still like further down there.
I've had no reply of the fishes, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Damn. Then I still swim in circles to do whatever I can.
Okay.
Possibly.
Well, since you continue to do that, as you do that, you let's see. Yes. Since you did make a good roll, I can't neglect that. I'll brush it off. As you did.
Curious Mind would even be willing to sacrifice Gnosis to because Gnosis attracts spirits. It's like a certain currency for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that's need be, I would spend Gnosis to motivate fish spirits to come and aid me.
Okay. You don't need to do that quite yet since you did get a good roll. As you try to make that circle again and get contact with a fish spirit, you see on the edge of your eye, you see one of those stars, like in the turquoise there was like those stars, those glitters. You see one, like, start to shine in the distance, and as you make eye contact with it, it starts to move a little bit closer to you, and it comes in slowly. But what about the rest of you? You see this black surface thing in front of you. Are you pursuing, or are you stopping or something? Whatever Curious Mind is doing at current seems to be more slower than straight up pursuing.
She'll look back and see what Curious Mind is doing, and she won't pursue any further, though she senses herself getting closer. She'll wait and actually see what she has in mind. And while this is happening, Red Claw will take this time to gather her strength, and then she'll morph back into Krynos form.
Okay.
Going through Grabro, and then probably a lot slower this time, and she's taking deep breaths as she does so, and every time she transforms, huge swells of bubbles come up, and then back into Krynos form, and she's getting herself pumped and hyped, and she's looking over at One Fang, kind of getting him to do the same.
Yeah, One Fang, just like Red Claw, kind of looks back and notices that Curious Mind is doing something, and being either a warrior or a shaman type, he goes by their lead, and then he hears Red Claw kind of just bursting. You feel the warmth and heat coming off of her as she's changing right there, and these kind of steam bubbles are going off her. He also attempts to transform back into Kratos form, concentrating fully on Agnes, which is his focal point for his emotions, and draws on that energy, which is slightly different from probably the way that Red Claw draws on it, as he pulls inward and then he just kind of lets loose.
Yeah. As both of you transform during that time, Curious Mind sees the dot come closer and closer. When it comes close enough, you see this sort of well, it's pitch black, so you don't actually see a silhouette. You only see it when it comes like almost like this close. And the dot is coming closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer, and then only when it's like at this distance, you see that it's the spirit of a monkfish with one of those things coming off of it, protruding, that it uses to lure, things to its mouth, the glowing little dot, and it has this very outward protruding jaw and these needle-like teeth and these kind of crazy eyes on it, and as it's kind of coming in through the water towards you, and when it's around here, it kind of like it kind of stops there in place, and it's just swimming there, and these kind of bubbles are coming out of it, and it's kind of like it's not saying anything right in front of you. It's just kind of looking at you, and it's a creature of the depths. Unlike most slews of fish, so it clearly reacted to your summons, but it's at this point just standing there looking at you with this kind of strange, kind of crooked, crazy look.
I'll tell it that its habitat, its home, is in danger, and that this junk needs to be contained.
I know. Oh yes, I know.
We need to make a barrier that it keeps here, and then I'll clean it up once we've killed the creature below.
There's no one to give you barriers here, Outlander. I know, oh yes, I know. I am the last. In these depths, the rest have fled from the influence of the quirlings and the slugs and the evil wormlings. I know, oh yes, I know.
Do you also know what is the weakness of this creature down there?
No.
It kind of thinks. He has to ponder a little bit.
I would presume the lake itself knows how to cleanse herself, regardless of us. I know, oh yes, I know.
And I thank you for your knowledge, Spirit. Thank you. Bye. I swim off.
It kind of turns around and swims off. That was kind of useless, but yeah.
All right, then I'll pretty much leave my my original plan to rest, and we'll come back to that once we dealt with the big baddie down there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all of the three of you are basically there, all like battle ready, and well, what do? You see this kind of pulsating surface in front of you, a little distance away, but it doesn't seem like it's like coming towards you or anything. These little bubbles and these pulsating, things are, emitting from it, but it doesn't seem like. It seemed like the snakes were it, at least now, from this distance.
At this time, Red Claw is going to spend a rage point and then sharpen her claws once more.
Oh, I thought that claws were sharp throughout the rest of the scene. Like.
Oh, I didn't know that the scene. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Since
okay. The scene including the underwater scene, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, in that case, there won't be none spent in that instance. She will instead. She'll look at the others, and then she'll take her hand and then do like that, and then she'll get real close to the member, and without even putting her hand on it, she kind of looks like she's aiming, and she'll aim for the spot that has the biggest vein, and then she'll look back and goes, "Well, here it goes. Nothing!" And then she just stabs her fist right into there.
Okay. As you do that, it pierces very easily. As you pierce, it emits light and rumbles and lets out a roaring scream like this, and bubbles just come almost like an underwater volcanic kind of gasp, like those bubbles, like huge amounts. What you pierce, like feels almost like silk to your claws. What you all see with the light there, it looks like a giant, like car-sized boil. It looks like a festered wound that has like this boil on it, and as you rip through it, the entire realm shakes where you're in, and of this immense like roaring pain that's going on around, and you can feel it, especially a curious mind can feel this almost like this audible like pain wailing, and as it rips almost like silk, like you can see that inside it, purely yellow again, there's this gooish surface where these streams of this gel like goo just go around, but what's there is a thing that Curious Mind recognizes immediately. There's two things. There is a wolf-size, wolf-shaped gray shadow that's completely three-dimensional. It's a see-through, wolf-shaped, like a wolf laying on its side, shaped shadow. The same sort of print of a shadow that Curious Mind saw that the Bane was licking in the swampy ground when you first went to the Umbra. And the other thing that you see there is a Bane licking that thing. Inside that boil, as you burst it, there's a Bane that looks like it's a centipede that's as fat as Jabba the Hutt. It's got what are those porcupine-like spikes coming off of it. It has eyes everywhere that are looking in every direction, like sporadically, and they're like big, like human-looking eyes, you know. And its like mouth is like this predator mouth, this mandible, this kind of, as it's like licking the wolf shape there, and it's wailing. It's letting out these torturous, you know, wails of like sorrowful wails, and this kind of as it's licking this shape of the wolf. And unless somebody uses a rage point, you won't get to do anything before its eyes look at the three of you, and it immediately whips its backside of its body upwards as it sinks almost like down a drain into that wolf shape, and the wolf shape disappears.
I'll spend a rage point.
Yeah, me too.
Well, sure, now you will, as you know the goddamn.
But yeah, okay, sure, you can do that.
All right, I spend that rage point, and as soon as I see it, and she kind of just like gets inside the boil, and she rips it open, and she barrels right towards it, and she grabs it by its head, its disgusting eyes, and she doesn't care if she scratches those damn things, and she yanks it and pulls it right out into the open for everyone else.
It's not that easy. It's as you go and try to sink your claws into it, you're first stunned by how it's almost like if you've seen nature documentaries where polar bears in hunger try to attack like walruses, and they can't penetrate their thick skin even with their claws and their teeth. It's the same kind of thing where it's so thick and so like you can't pierce it. You can grab it, but you can't really grab a hold of it because it's so slimy. And also on top of that, as you go and grab it, the moment you've touched your hands on it, you see something that you haven't seen in a long while. You see from the neck area of that shadow of a wolf a twinkle of bright orange that your reptilian brain somewhere recognizes and ignites this kind of a Vietnam flashback immediately. You know exactly what it is when you see it, and you feel it in your gut, and it almost has a paralyzing effect as you go to grab, you see it, and the bane goes to drain down. It kind of has you whipped off of it. But I will still allow, of course, Curious Mind to act there because she spent the rage point as well. But before that, that's what you see and that's what you feel. You don't know if anybody else saw that though.
Oh man, she's taken aback by that, and she, having that thing knock it off of her, and her gut reaction is to, it's been affirmed in her mind that whatever this is now no good. It must be vanquished from here. So, but it being knocked off of her, I pass it over to Curious Mind to see what we can do.
Okay. What is Curious Mind doing when the Bane is about to evade?
Do I have any idea where it wants to go?
Yes, you do. Banes inhabit the spirit world, and the only way for them to inhabit the physical world is to take over someone's mind or someone's body. You haven't seen every possible aberration, or you actually haven't seen too many different kinds of creatures that are basically monsters that are taken over by Banes, but those are basically how Banes act in the physical world. Fomoris are people who have Banes inside them. So basically, just like when you first arrived into the werewolf territory and you saw the Bane licking the surface that was shaped like a wolf, and in the physical world there was a body of a wolf that was like killed in anger and rage and jealousy and all this sort of stuff, you're certain that there is a wolf corpse here in the bottom of the lake in the physical world, and this Bane has been prepping it for invasion, and it just now, like, because of your arrival, like, initiated it right now. It's the Bane took over whatever is in the physical realm.
Is there? Do I know of a way to prevent it from entering its body?
Not at this point, no, not really, because all you know about that sort of stuff is ritual that take time, and this sort of, if you would have to like tie a Fomori to like a tree and like and then perform like a ritual dance and exorcism type of thing, that sort of thing.
So but for us, this body that it's trying to get into, it's translucent.
Yeah, it's in this realm. It's completely it's like a shadow. It's like
okay,
it's like
so I can't like just yoink, just pull the shadow out of from under it and like did I?
No, and as as it goes into it, the shadow fades away.
All right. I'll. It's like this big thing going into this small thing, right?
Hmm?
Yeah. Can I at least try to damage it? Because I don't think we will be able to stop it from entering this body. But I'll, as it tries to worm its way into the body, I will bite it and hold on to it.
Okay, it's the same thing as with Red Claw, where you go and try and bite at it and claw into it. Especially since you're in your lupus form, you're not as strong as she is in her Krynos form. But it's again, the skin is so tough. It's like walrus skin or something, where you can like pinch it, but you can't like keep a hold of it because it's so slimy, and you can't pierce it because it's so tough.
All right.
But you can, of course, attempt. So your friends see you attempting your best.
Yeah. I'll try to bite it and just try to prevent it from completely entering this shadow, but failing miserably, apparently.
Yeah, and those of you who were grabbing it are kind of thrashed back as it's like as it worms its way into the shadow, and the shadow fades away. Though it is a clear cue that most likely, this Bane is now in the physical realm inside somebody else's body.
All right, so we need to get to the physical world. Is it all right to leave this place here behind? If we go back into the real world, will we like suffocate into the water?
You don't know.
That's a risk we'll have to take.
Okay,
So
you need a
I'll
reflective
probably open the
surface.
portal.
As you guys get shaked off, one pig's like, "What's going on?" As he swims up, he doesn't know what to do. He's lost.
It's heading towards the real world.
Yes, it appears it has already slipped inside. It'll be made manifest. We'll have to battle it there.
I open the portal and try to get through.
What reflective surface do you reflect your own reflection off of?
That's a good question.
One thing grabs Red Claw and looks directly into her eye and sees the reflection of his face in her iris, and then, as he's done that before, so he knew that might work.
Yeah.
And then tries to open up the door.
Yeah, this is a reoccurring theme, opening using eyeballs as reflective surfaces. But yeah, sure, it works, but you do have to go like.
Yeah, you need to get like right on.
You need to have friends in order to make this work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, sure, you can do that. And again, the fabric of reality breaks in front of you, exactly like before, just. With the electric stuff on its edges and all that. It's right there in front of you.
Well, I cross on through, though I am taken aback at the surprise. I go, oh, and she plows right on through.
Okay. As you go through, for your relief, you all notice that yes, you can breathe underwater in this lake at this time. It's still, though, the spirit of the lake said that it was a charm, so it's not like a permanent thing. Once you go off, you most likely will lose that ability. So basically, when you come in here, you're in the lake. Inside a lake, the visibility is nothing like it was in the Umbra, and of course, the physical feels different again. But if there's such anxious, like there's tension and you need Jack now type of thing. As you get through it, you hear these thumping and sloshing noises from in front of you that's climbing upwards, like climbing to the surface. This kind of clearly like something big is swimming and climbing on the edges of the of the sea floor or of the lake's floor and that sort of thing. So even though you have kind of, except for Curious Mind who has heightened senses, your visibility is kind of poor, and sense of smell underwater and all that. It's tough.
Yeah.
I use my hearing and I try to. I actually don't try to like get at it right then and there. I actually stalk it for a while, and I'll just wait till it gets onto the surface before I make my move as a surprise.
Okay. In that case, what about Curious Mind? Are you gonna allow this waiting thing, or?
Yeah. Well, what does it look like now that it's in the physical world?
It's hard to see under the lake. Even though it's daytime, it's still very like you can see your own hands and you can see the shapes of your friends and all that, but you can't see that far ahead. With heightened senses, you can see somewhat of a foggy silhouette. It's not the same size. It's hard to make out. It doesn't look exactly. It looks large.
All right. Well, seeing as it's harder to move around here than it is in the Umbra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So waiting might be a good thing, and seeing as Red Claw is at least a battle commander, I'll follow suit. But I'll definitely also change into Krinos shape now because things are about to get real.
That's right. What about Wanafang? Are you also following suit?
Yeah, as one thing steps out back into the reel, he kind of hears the sounds and sees that Red Claw is moving off, slowly stalking under the water, and he begins swimming to the surface.
Okay.
So that he can see where they are, and then see where the creature's going to come out.
Okay, so are you going to go ahead of everybody to the surface, or does the waiting that Red Claw aims to do also include like going to the surface to see before, like, or are you staying underwater to breach or something like that?
No, I'm assuming I'm just going to swim straight up, not towards any direction, just to get a visibility of what's around. Because I can't see in the muck of the lake, so the only way I'm going to know where I am or where it comes out of the water, from my point of view, is when I see it. So he's just going to come up and do that Rambo thing where he just comes up with the thighs.
Yeah.
Then goes back down, and then comes back,
Okay. But Red Claw's plan was still to stay underwater and wait there? Was it?
Yeah. I was just gonna stay. I was basically gonna stalk it, just follow it right up there, and as soon as it gets up there, I'm gonna just pounce right onto it and be like, "Oh no!"
Okay. In that case,
suplex it back into the water, like
yeah. Since Wanafang had the plan of reconnaissance, he will be the first one to. Basically, he gets to the surface like Rambo, like you described, and as you're on top of it, you feel like it doesn't like splash. It's like just like you described. And while the rest of you stalk it, and you can't quite make out its shape or appearance, you still make out its size. And as Wanafang is on top of the surface, looking out, when you see the water burst. Actually, it almost goes like Godzilla, like it's first like bubbling, and then you see something like whipping in the air and go under the water, and then you see this shape that's basically the size of the size where a normal human being would be the size of Action Man. Or something like a regular human would be this size or something. It's that big. So it's basically like Krinos being 9 foot tall. I would say it's something like it would be something like 15 feet tall. It's basically as it comes, it's like this aberration. It's this. Yeah, it has a back, it has shoulders and a head, but it's like like in The Thing, where it's like his eyes are opening here and then they close, another one opens here, something protrudes outwards from its flesh, just and another limb shrinks as another one protrudes out, like, and it's completely like this this abomination, and you see as it thrashes its head, it has a wolf's head, basically, and it's orange in color, and it has some sort of a chain around its neck, very thin chain that's like fitting for the size of a normal human being, but it's around its neck, and it's just thrashing from the lake, and its skin is hardly like holding on. It's like ripping from place to place, revealing this gooey, muscle flesh underneath it, and again like something protruding from it, and it's constantly shaping, but still maintaining this kind of humanoid shape, and having that wolf head, this kind of this complete like chaos monster, just and it's just coming from the surface. It's like this far atop the surface, and it's going towards the. It's going actually towards the coast, not towards the island where the Kairen is. It's actually like almost like a relief, like whew, like it doesn't seem to be going there. It's going to the coast.
Is it going towards the village?
No, it's actually going to the exact opposite direction. It's heading towards north. And you know what was in north? There's the territory that formerly belonged to the pit fiends that these days is barren marshland, and beyond that was the encampment territory of the Red Talons during the war. So it's heading towards that territory. So it's two, like, whoo, not the Kairen, whoo, not Agnes. So it's kind of that sort of thing, but you see clear direction where it's going, or aiming to go. What about all of you, basically, at this point?
When I see this thing come out of the water, she finally gets a good look at it as her eyes just sort of poke out. She is stricken with some hesitation now. She sees the hulking form of this thing, but she knows what needs to be done, and what needs to be done is that this creature needs to go, this bane needs to go, and so she pumps herself up, and she tries to convert that fear into rage, and she creeps up, and she's tensing her body as she's like starts burling through the water, and then as that creature comes out, boom! Red Claw bursts right out, and she's going to strike immediately, make the first strike, and she's going to go to between like its thighs where the flesh has been ripped, so she can go right to that muscle and rip those tendons clean.
Okay. Now I'm going to have everyone throw initiative. The creature is not paying attention to you, so it's going to go last, but everyone is going to get to throw initiative, and we'll do this the right way.
All right. What's initiative? Just a D10.
I think it's dexterity plus wits, 2 attributes you're using. And the difficulty was, it was something very minuscule. Was it like 4 or something like that? I can't remember for the life of me, but if we all throw the same thing, it doesn't matter. So let's say dexterity plus wits, and let's say the difficulty is 4. If it's wrong, then everybody's doing the same way wrong. So I'll need to double check that.
One thing got 2 successes.
2.
I got 3.
3?
I got 7.
Okay, so basically, you're going first, then it's Roger, then it's John, and last it's the Beast. So yeah, what is it you aim to do exactly? You described it already. If you mean to keep that, but since it's all the mechanic stuff and all that. If you want to use any activating gifts or use any rage or stuff like that, you need to mention that at this point, before you play your actions.
Um. Nothing right now at the moment.
Okay, so straight on attack, basically. Okay,
Yeah.
in that. Okay, roll your dexterity plus brawl for your slash.
Gotcha. Okay, what's my, it's a 6, is it, for the
Yeah,
difficulty?
6. When it comes to damage, you have that lowered
Gotcha.
due to the razor claws.
Alright, so that's 2 right off the bat, but I also got a 10, so I get to roll again on that one. Ooh, and that makes it a third, so I got 3 successes on that.
Okay. Yeah, you hit your target, then you go and roll your strength. But add the 2 dice and lower the difficulty by 1, so it's 5 or more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, that's 4 damage.
Okay, and the creature will do its soaking now. 1, 2, 3, of which one is a 10, and then a 9. So 4 successes. So too bad. You got 4 successes. It got 4 successes in soaking it. So its chaotic nature is immediately made apparent to you as you slash it, and the part that you slash doesn't sling off into the air. It kind of like the the stringy flesh that clump of flesh was tied to, kind of springs into the air and then kind of latches back and kind of almost like dissolves into the rest of the flesh as the flesh around it kind of like close in and then kind of fold on top of each other as new things are protruding and as it's going around there. Next, it's
well, real quick though, I will shout to the rest of them. I will say, go for its blind spot while I distract it.
Go for
okay.
it. What?
Blind spot.
Oh, blind spot. Okay. Does it have a blind spot? I think
there are eyes protruding from every place and closing.
You attack it, and you suddenly see an eye open up in front of you, like shit.
Yeah. But yeah, it's Curious Mind. Second.
Yeah, I'll jump up and try to get some height, and I will try to jump into its back and try to sink my claws into it, and kind of preferably sink into it and go down.
That would be 2 actions. The leaping. Do you have hare's leap?
No.
Then in that case, you wouldn't be able to leap too high into its back. You would be like on purely your athletic prowess alone. You would be able to like grab onto its like waist or something, but not like upper back or anything like that. You would need hare's leap to be able to leap that tall leaps. And the leap and then the slash would be 2 actions actually. So if you would need to spend 1 point of rage to get that done.
Then I'll just. Does it have any moving mechanisms like legs, or how does it move forward?
It is, yeah. It's basically like a humanoid. It's like a giant humanoid that's like, like the thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll try to cut into the backside of its leg so that it goes down.
okay. In just a regular fashion, just
just
right.
like run past it and like try to chop it down.
Okay, then it's the same thing as with Phil. Then roll your dexterity and brawl.
3 successes on my attack.
Okay, you succeed in hitting it. Then it's time for strength.
And my strength is +4, so that's 6. 4 successes.
Okay, Same as with Phil again, and it will roll its stamina to soak. And it had 2 successes, so 2 levels of health has been dealt to it. And you struck it in the back of its leg. Was it like in the thigh area or the where?
Preferably in the knee.
Okay, so basically you go and you slash it into the back of the knee, and you can feel like the knee going out of place, and it like as it normally would bend like that, it kind of goes like. But again, it's like these whip-like tendrils spurt out from the broken like lower part of the leg, and like vines wrap around the higher part, and it just like melds again like. And it just works kind of again. It took the damage for sure, but it's still like it didn't stop it. It kind of slowed it down a bit, but it didn't like force it on its knees or anything. But it definitely dealt it damage. Then it's One Fang.
Okay, One Fang. Yeah, kind of just bursts as fast as it can out of the water and does the one move that he think might help or to distract the creature, and takes a note from Oxspear and kind of charges him and slams into it, trying to knock it down, spear style.
Okay. If you're tackling it, you're basically well. If I'm being blunt, bashing damage, like blunt damage might not be nearly as effective as lacerating and slashing it.
Well,
I don't mean like to stifle creativity here, but
well, no, I mean, yeah, Michael doesn't have that type of he wouldn't have that type of knowledge or even think about it. So I mean, I know it might hurt the group a little bit, but he would do what he could to just knock it down, to slam it to the ground, He knows Oxbear has knocked out werewolves by hitting him that way, and he's feeling the power of the bear in him right now, so he's going to slam into it, trying to knock it down, or maybe knock it aside at least.
Okay, it's the same roll as with everybody else, so it's first your dexterity and your brawl.
2 successes.
Okay, then it's your strength.
And it's 6 or higher, right?
Yeah.
Four successes.
4 successes. Okay, I'll roll. It's soaking. One botch takes away 1 success, and another botch takes away another success, and leaves nothing. Yeah. You get nothing. So it basically works. It doesn't like knock it down, but it's still like you do the whole like go Berg, and you just run and you spear it. You nearly broke him in half. It's just slobber knocker as you run and tackle it on its basically on its lower back as you were behind it, and with Curious Mind's damage to the knee just before, the tackling to the back is enough to winch it forward enough where it takes a bad step on that mangled knee that's only on these vine-like tendrils right now, and it does fall on one knee onto the ground, and its arms go to give it like balance, and it goes on basically on all fours to the ground, just and it's just, it's this slimy pussy, just this messed up thing. So yeah, then it's the turn of the beast itself, but it's on all fours, so it's not like gonna do big swings and all that. But since Red Claw was like right in front of it as she hit, and it now went down, it's almost a little bit above Red Claw. Red Claw is kind of like underneath its torso, and from its torso you see this mouth just and this thick tongue, as thick as those snakes, or rather exactly like those snakes, except flesh covered, protrudes out like an alien tongue, and just comes to latch on your face to deal you damage. And I'm now gonna roll for that.
Like tremors, those tons.
Kind of like, yeah, or deep rising, those tendrils that open up and drink you alive.
Do.
Yeah. So here it goes. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of those is taken away. One of them is notes, and another success.
Duckville, duck.
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes. So, but it's not doing aggravated damage. It's like it's a damage you can soak with your stamina. So there's 7 dots worth of coming at you. So roll your stamina and pray. This might be a bit too much, actually. This is one of the best rolls I've had all year. So, and of course it has to be on a monster. But so roll your stamina, nothing else.
Red Claw can take it.
Your mic is off.
Oh.
Oh, can I spend a willpower point to get 3 extra dice on that?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I'll do just that, and so that gives me 6 dice in total now to roll for that soak. Alright, so I got 2 10s, and I got a 7 there, and the 2 10s explode. And nope, I didn't get no extra successes, so that's 3 right there in total that I managed to soak up.
3, so you got 4 levels of damage there, but it's damage that you heal 1 per combat round, so it's not like it'll hurt like a motherfucker, but it's not like it's gonna kill you type of thing. It latches onto you like, and it squeezes. You can hear this crunching, this kind of in your head, and you can feel this fluid that must be hot blood just like coming down on your face as you're just. It's almost like you go into this stiff like mode as it's squeezing your face. This protruding thing that's coming out of its stomach mouth, and your friends see this, and it's kind of a horrifying sight. But yeah, mark down that you have 4 health levels of damage that heal 1 per round of combat. So now it's the first. It's the second round of combat now. It's Red Claw's turn, so that's already 1 health level of those 4 healed.
Okay.
So what do you do as you have this thing on your face? Or rather, since it wasn't like a grapple thing, I'm not gonna make it so that it has you on a grappling hold, so you can basically freely like latch yourself free from it without spending turns on that. So.
Okay, so since a mouth has appeared there, and like exposing its innards slightly, what Red Claw's going to do now is that now that she's got this open before her, she is going to rip this thing right off her head, and then keeping hold of it, she's going to yank down and bite back.
Nice. Okay.
Right off
are you
her
going to
mouth.
use rage points to get additional turns in this so that you can make multiple attacks? You know.
Yeah. She'll spend a rage point.
You can spend more than 1 at once. The amount of rage points that you can spend 1 time is half of your total amount of rage points. So if your rage points are 6, you can spend up to 3 at one go, and that would be 3 extra actions in your turn.
No, I'll just spend that 1.
Okay. So in that case, you have that 1, but that 1 gets to be done only after the rest of the round is done as like a final. Like after everyone's turn is done, it's time for the extra actions. You know. So
Gotcha.
it would be overkill if you could do them back to back to back on this one turn. You know. So yeah, you get to now do the one munching on the protruding thing. So roll again your dexterity and brawl.
Gotcha. All right, so that's 4 right there, but then I got that 10 that exploded. All right, that didn't go nowhere, so that's 4 in total for my successes.
Okay, then it's strength, and with the razor claws, although you're biting, but let's say you're squeezing at the same time. I'm not a killer DM, am I?
Oh, that's really nice. That's 4 right there, but I rolled 3 10s, so those all explode. And that creates 1 more, so that's 5 in total.
5. Okay, it tries to soak the damage. That's only 1 success, so it got. You rolled 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 4 damage to it. As you bite and claw on it, it lets out this kind of, and you see that as you bite and you kind of yank on it, you see that it kind of almost like a fire hose starts to like come out of its belly. It's like its intestine being yanked out. It was like an intestine with a mouth attacking you as you're like yanking it out, and there's like blood and fluids and just like as you're kind of disemboweling it by with that attack. Next, it's Curious Mind. With seeing you're basically behind its leg at this point where you're positioned as it's on its all fours.
Mm-hmm. Seeing, because it's kneeling down on the leg that I damaged already, right?
Hmm?
I don't really want to take out the other leg, because if it goes down crashing, it goes down on Red Claw. So I only just keep attacking the leg that's already down, and trying to keep it from standing up.
Okay, how do you attack it? Do you like slash it or jam your nails or it?
Where the vines started to pull it down, I again try to claw at this part to break it open.
Okay, it's the same roll.
Yeah. 2 successes.
Okay, then it's time for strength.
1, 2, 3 successes.
Okay, 3. It tries to soak. 1, 2, and one of those was a 10, and a botch. So that cancels one of them out. So only 1 success. So how many did you get?
3.
3. So 2 levels of damage is going on the monster. So basically, as you slash on those kind of vine-like tendrils, they start to whip in the air like again. But as they're doing that, you find it quite easy to smack them off, and you do actually see that the thigh and the knee parts are kind of like it's just by a couple of root-like tendons that it's on. So it couldn't possibly put any weight on that leg. It's destroyed, man. That knee. Then it's One Fang, and One Fang would be positioned since you tackled its back. You would be basically behind its ass, between its legs there, with Red Claw being in front of you, underneath its torso, and with Curious Mind being, on your side, on attacking the leg.
Did One Fang see that thing come out and attack her face, like out of its chest?
Yeah,
and then
sure.
Bite it and rip it because he's looking underneath it.
Yeah, sure.
From there, since he's right there, he just kind of reaches out with both claws and just kind of digs into the ass part of it and just starts rending, trying to rip through it, and there's tunnel through the creature.
Why? First, well, oh, okay, that makes sense. You, Jesus Christ, you. Hmm. Yes, you first emulated Oxpear by doing the spear on him. Now you're emulating Red Claw again by attacking someone's crotch
It's
area.
my two teachers. They taught me
Yeah.
to eviscerate.
Yeah. Feel free to send all the goats imagery on my way because of this. But oh boy, yeah. Okay, you attacked its ass. So it's time to roll. And you have those sharpened, those razor claws and
All right,
all.
so I got 3 successes.
Oh, 3 successes. Okay, then it's time for
Okay,
strength.
right.
Add 2 dice and 5 or more for damage.
Wow.
Is that a good wow or a bad wow?
Well, it was really good. And then I actually had 2 ones too. So I'm like, total is 4.
4. Okay, tries to soak. Nothing. So
Yeah.
4 damage, and with that, Phil's turn is about to. Phil's rage point turn is still undone, so you will get basically the pleasure of doing the fatality on it. But basically, what you're seeing before you as this chaotic just beast came to the shore, its knee got messed up. It got speared on its all fours. Its intestines were disemboweled while its colon was rendered into mush. And now the final turn, Red Claw, your rage point, additional action, finish him.
Oh, this is where it happens. She kind of pushes and digs her clawed feet into the marshy ground muck around her, and her weight just pushes down, and every vein in her body suddenly pumps, and she is tired, but she musters all of her strength together, and her eyes grow wide and slightly bloodshot with the blood all gushing upon her, and she takes her hands and folds them like this, nice little spears, and Fist of the North Star style, she'll just begin like jabbing it as many times as possible, right until the intestines that she's already ripped out, ripping all the way through. And every time she does it, she pulls out more guts, and she just keeps on going till she plows through the other side of this creature.
So basically, the rest of you see this shower of guts and blood just coming down on someone who's just like punching it upwards. Jesus. And yeah, at that point, when it kind of collapses and its limbs kind of go to the sides as it falls down, you do protrude out of its back and do the whole like you Hulk out, brother. Yeah, that happens. So yeah, as the beast falls on its chest with you protruding from its back, the creature just and it starts to melt. It starts to bubble and almost like this corrosive acid, like this kind of all this kind of pus and crap on it just starts to like just like you felt the with the orange fog from the cauldron in your little pit trap there. It's the same sort of this kind of corrosive like you see these thin streams of smoke emanating from this kind of bubbly fleshy as it's like shrinking in size, as it's like melting and leaving behind this pus and this stuff that's kind of like evaporating into this smoke into the air that also like disappears. It's like burning away, this kind of melting away. It's not like leaving behind this great big pool of toxic crap, but it's just like seething out of existence until it leaves in your feet, like as you're standing there between Red Claw's feet. It's shriveled down to the point where the last part that really looks like the original creature that you fought is this mangled wolf-like face that's all like mangled and additional eyes, and it just shrinks down until it's shriveled down to the size of a generic shape of a wolf that's like in a fetal position, and it looks like it's rotten. It looks like it's mangled. And as it's between your feet, the sun shines down on you to reflect off of a surface that flares orange light into your eyes. You see almost like this ray of orange on your eyes when you look in your face. It's like from the wolf corpse, the orange light protruding, and you see from the neck that there's that chain around its neck. It looks awfully familiar.
As all this has happened and all the blood is on her, she reverts back to her Hamid form. I've been saying this before her. She kneels down. All the adrenaline's still pumping. Her hand is shaking now, but now it's shaking out of the memories flooding back into her. She goes over and takes her finger and underneath of it and plucks it right up and looks right at it.
You see your friends also, One Fang and Curious Mind. You saw it shrivel down, but something that you notice is that One Fang grabs something from its neck and snaps it off, and she's holding something that's hanging from her hands, and you can see it's like in front of your eyes, Red Claw. You're not sure if it's in your own mind, but it seems like it's swinging slower than anything normally would. It's like this in front of your eyes. There's the chain that's all like full of pus and goo and all that, but there's this one completely clean, pure marble-looking, bright orange, reddish, this kind of fiery, smoky-looking its shape in the glass, this marble-looking gem that you're kind of almost like it's basically hypnotic to you looking at it with all the baggage in your mind just replaying, and it's almost like to Curious Mind and especially One Fang who rescued her. You haven't seen this thing before, but you recognize in your friend the distress that she's in, and you know what she's been through in a very detailed way in the end, perhaps more than anybody else.
One Fang takes one massive step forward and sort of like, he's still in Krinos, and he's still breathing heavy, kind of reaches out and grabs her shoulder, and he's like, "What is it, Red Claw?"
Pure love. This has to be pure love. The one who captured me.
Curious Mind also hears all this that's mentioned and sees everything.
As a player, I'm not completely sure anymore. A Bane spirit, once defeated in the real world, does it go back to the Umbra, or is it actually destroyed?
It's basically it's kind of banished. It's most likely it's kind of like it's gone its way somewhere.
Okay, so it's no
longer a
lingers
problem.
here.
You don't need to go to the Umbra to beat the actual Bane there.
Okay, excellent. Then Curious Mind will approach Red Claw. in her lupus form, and will kind of stand next to her so that she feels the side of her, pressing her side against Red Claw's leg, and looking up in a concerned manner, as in not sure what's going on and what the importance is of this thing.
Yeah, she'll look at everyone. She'll go, "Pure love, it's the one who captured me, kept me in that pit. That orange mist pouring down upon me every second of the day. I felt like the burning scars." She looks right down around herself. Her hands clutched into fists, and she grabs the corpse of that lupus. And grabs it, just holds it there. "I'm just sad I didn't have the pleasure of ending you myself," and slams her right down onto the ground.
And it's so rotten and been underwater for so long, it just almost falls apart as you slam it.
And as that happens, she just like goes down and picks up the skull, and she begins like moving the rot away and stuff, and she just rips that off, and she keeps that there in her hands. And her eyes begin to kind of swell up, and they're very, very red at this point, glossy. This is both strange victory and defeat.
One claw steps forward and grabs a hold of your shoulder. You feel his hand shifting, getting smaller, obviously, as he's coming out of Krino's form and going to his Hamid form. And he's like, "This is a good thing. It is an ending. Something that we couldn't have done before, which we should have tried harder to find him over the past year. But now you can move on, Red Claw. He can never harm you again."
What's done is done, I suppose. It won't remove what has happened to me, though. And she kind of just stares at that amulet as she says this. "I don't think it's over with just yet. But either way, he had his just desserts." With that, she'll turn around and kind of stare at the lake as she walks towards it. She'll take a deep breath, and as she does so and closes her eyes, a few tears begin to roll down her cheek, slightly quivering. And then she'll turn back around. Her expression changes. She buries those emotions, and she looks at you all. "Rejoice! We have vanquished this bane!"
One Fang immediately begins to transform back into his Krynos and says, "Let us give the howl of victory!" He's like, "Oh!" As loud as he possibly can to send that energy out to every werewolf within range to hear.
As you celebrate, Curious Mind, just like your name, your mind is rather curious when you see him, like when he was looking at the amulet and all that. You don't know, you have no idea what it is. You have no idea what it does. You have no idea how it ties in with this whole, if it ties into this whole Bane thing. Why is it having that sort of an effect? Or it clearly looks like it has some sort of personal meaning, but it clearly emanates spiritual power. It's not just like a decorative, just a necklace. It's something more.
Yeah, I figured as much. So, but she doesn't believe this is a time to like, hey, show me that thing. So she just makes a mental note, and we'll come back to that later. And joins in the celebration of howling and banishing this Bane.
Okay. So that, I think, is where we'll leave it this time, with the three of you howling in celebration, letting everyone know just how glorious you were today. And before next session will begin, I will figure out how I will reward you guys with renown points for your actions on this session, especially. I can't, on the top of my head, throw them out and be good with them. So before we start the next session, I will reward you with some renown points for your glorious.
I will be known as One Fang Bane Slayer.
Okay, but yeah, that's where we're gonna leave it, and that's where we're gonna pick it off next time. So until next time, on the same, whatever, the
Same
rest.
wolf time, same wolf channels.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna end the broadcast. So goodbye.